This podcast contains offensive language. You have been warned, fuckers.
It's the ultra combo. It's the ultra combo. It's ultra.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Get Plugged, your weekly podcast of all things awesome. Sitting with me is Wesley Powell.
I'm back with Dolphin herpes.
Yay, they're itchy. And Sean Ferguson.
Yo, don't touch me.
He got a haircut.
I'm gonna kiss him.
Eric Osborne.
Hey, people.
And I'm, as always, John Benson. And we have plenty to talk about. E3 just wrapped up last week. Plenty of movies in the theaters and coming up in the next week. I'm really psyched for World War Z specifically. But all you guys got to see Superman. Well, you saw it? Yeah. I didn't, but I need to catch up on that. So they're going to spoil that later. But I think we're going to start with, as usual, Eric running the numbers.
Running the numbers. One of the more interesting stories to come out of last week, like clockwork, the Queens of the Stone Age record came out at number one, the first time in the history of the band. It dropped at number one, sold 91,000 copies. And no surprise, Daft Punk's record, Random Access Memories, was now number two for the third straight week. Feel, Sleeping with Sirens, is number three, based on a true story by Blake Shelton, and it's hung in there at number four.
Sleeping with Sirens is in fourth?
Third.
Third
Place, and they're holding pretty strong, actually.
All those scene kids got to be real happy about
Yep.
that.
The number one film over the weekend was, to no one's surprise, Superman came in at an estimated $125 million, including the late openings on Thursday night.
Now, it cost $200 million to make, though.
It'll take some time to recoup its budget, but so far, internationally, it's grossed about $220 million, so it's already recouped its budget for production.
Oh, I didn't think about international.
But I'm telling you, its international budget for advertising was probably around $70 or $80 million minimum.
Didn't it break a record?
Highest opening in the history of June history. These numbers are according to
June.
The box office stuff is according to boxofficemojo.com, and the top five selling records were according to the Billboard 200. The interesting thing about the weekend wasn't so much that Superman succeeded, but that it succeeded as the highest opening in June's history. I didn't know anything about Walmart selling tickets for this. Did you guys know anything about that?
I did.
Yes, sir.
I thought that was really
What do you mean,
interesting.
you can just go to Walmart?
Go to Walmart, buy your tickets,
Yes.
and you can see it Thursday night.
Yeah.
Huh.
That was interesting. Number two was
That's pretty super.
Seth Rogen's film did really, really well. The numbers were comparable to Tropic Thunder about 4 or 5 years ago. It pulled in a $36 million opening on a second weekend, something around that. $32.8 million, which is really respectable for a rated R comedy.
Still
And
better than Your Highness.
yeah, did a lot better than Your Highness.
And I loved Your Highness.
It opened about like 9 or 10 million. It was a pretty good step up for that crew. But and in terms of video game sales, I don't have anything right now. I got the numbers last week. They weren't really surprising for the year so far.
There's not much going on
All I
because no one would be insane enough to launch during E3.
Right.
Except The Last of Us.
Except for The Last of
and
Us.
I will say Fuse bombed in the UK. I read that headline somewhere.
Where'd you read that headline from? You remember?
It was on IGN somewhere, but it was like from somewhere else. I don't remember what it was from. But they got like 37th.
Wow.
The 20,
They didn't even break the top 20. That's pretty bad.
in the UK.
So
I bet they did a little better in the States, but probably not much.
Yeah, the top selling games for the year weren't surprises to anybody. Black Ops 2 came in really well. I think it was number one. Number two was, I think, Halo 4. Number three, Bioshock Infinite. Number four was Tomb Raider, which it's surprising that Tomb Raider is doing as well as it is, and Square is still calling it a financial failure. I think they had really unrealistic expectations for its sales. I think it sold 6 million, 7 million plus so far. I don't know what they expected.
I don't know either.
I saw a really compelling story that came out this week. It was George Lucas and Steven Spielberg were at the opening of some university's new arts or film building, and they were talking about their speculated future of film, and they were saying that the film industry sometimes is going to implode. And
Become like Broadway, I think is what they said.
yeah, and the theory of
yeah.
that business model would be you would pay $25 to go see Iron Man, but you'd pay $7 to go see some lower budget indie film because the budgets are just getting higher and the the trigger for that sort of model beginning, they said would be like if 5 summer blockbusters, all huge cost, came out and then they all tanked. Like that would be enough to break the bank essentially and change the way Hollywood works.
And that's not a bad assessment to make either, because
We're
look at the
getting
way
closer to
video
that.
games are selling now, where
Yeah.
you can download a game for $5 as opposed to dropping 60 as being the standard price for any game, whether it's Tetris, whether it's Metal Gear Solid 5.
And
So-
I'm glad you connected it to video games because that brings up that article. What's his name? We were just talking about it.
Cliff Blazinski
Yeah, how he was saying that like
is on his Twitter feed. You didn't have to actually source anything for that; it's just a Twitter feed thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
How like microtransactions and expansion packs, that sort of thing. That's what's keeping business studios afloat. Because things are just becoming more and more expensive. Games are getting really expensive to make, which is sort of in the defense. Well, it actually was speaking directly in defense of Microsoft's very controversial policy now of leaving it in the hands of publishers and developers to decide whether a game can be resold and whatever.
Cliff Blazinski is a really famous developer for the Xbox community because he co-created or produced the series Gears of War for Microsoft as an exclusive at a time when exclusives really weren't very popular to develop. Do any of you guys follow him on Twitter? Not too long ago, he made a commentary about survival horror games, which will make a good segue for Last of Us if you wanted to. He said that survival horror games will not be big sellers ever again until we do away with the retail disc-based model of sales. He says that what happens is a game that is, you can get rewarded for playing through one time and returning to the store as a trade or a rental, you'll never keep it. And he goes, so Dead Space isn't going to do well. Resident Evil is never going to do well until we get out of the disc-based model format. Him talking about the retail model that we have currently being so cost inefficient in terms of development, I don't develop games, none of us do, but it's easy to see his point.
It's reassuring to know that like some people, not just myself, don't want to play through a scary game again because I'm like, I'm done. I'm through that traumatic event. I don't have to go back to it.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like that, but man, The Last of Us is scary as hell.
Yeah.
And
But you need those trophies. You got to go back.
I'll play through the whole thing multiple times. I know I will.
I played through Resident Evil 5 almost a dozen times.
5 wasn't
Is that
scary,
even like
though.
a scary game anymore?
No,
though?
it's action. It's
Yeah.
horror action, but played through Dead Space 2 or 3 times. I mean, it's to me, I don't necessarily agree with Cliffy B. I think that great games will continue to sell no matter what the genre, as long as they're groundbreaking.
And I'm with you on that. That's the thing that I was talking to John about earlier is that he was saying that it costs as much to develop games, people, and I see his position where you have to
Agreed.
get mocap suits, you have to get hire artists, you have to get texture engineers. I think it was Shigi Miyamoto said about 7 or 8 years ago, or maybe it was Hideo Kojima, I can't remember who I was reading, said that the next great development in gaming is not going to be technological. It's going to be a business model. And he was right in the sense that games have gotten too expensive. When a game like Darksiders can't make money because it didn't sell 4 million copies, then something's wrong with the model. I don't think Cliff is right in saying that the answer is we've got to make people pay $60 for games that they can't resell. I think that is insulting to the consumer. I think that if we buy something, we own it. I own my Queens of the Stone Age records. I own my video games, and I own my kitchen table. God damn it! You can't fucking hold me a license to it.
Well, I think this whole the way information was presented was really, really poor on Microsoft's point or on their side, because Sony actually has the exact same policy. It's up to the developer, but they didn't phrase it that way. They just came right out and said dumb things that weren't thought out, like you can't resell stuff.
They
Whenever
were
really
trying
you
to pull
can.
the Band-Aid off as quickly as they could, as
Yeah.
opposed to maybe just being
See,
more
I was under the
subtle.
impression that was on Microsoft.
Exactly. So
I didn't
they're
realize
catching.
that it was up to the developers.
Microsoft
for
is saying that we aren't going to allow reselling of games, but if Activision wants to, it's up to them. Well, if Microsoft not going to hold it as a standard for everybody,
So then it's just the Microsoft exclusives that they.
they're saying that that's what they're doing with their own games.
Okay.
But we're not holding you to that. So if you want to make your games available for resale, and now it's really them trying to shift the blame, and I don't blame them. They
I
do the
think
same
that,
thing.
I mean, in the long run, I don't buy used games anymore.
I don't either.
Because
Especially
it's
games
say
suck.
$5. Like, fuck off. That's
Yeah.
$5. Who
And
gives a shit?
I've been starting to say, and it's been taken really poorly, but I really couldn't give a rat's ass about like other people being able to not afford new games
Oh,
or
you know,
not having an
the
internet
entitlement
connection.
issue, yeah.
Like they're video games people. Like
This isn't food and water.
Right. So, like, I really, I'll have internet and I'll have enough money to buy new games. So I could.
And it's
going
going
to
to happen eventually. I mean, you don't hear people bitching about, well, I can't take my Shazam app to my Android phone because I bought it on my iPhone. No, people aren't bitching about that. They're not. And Microsoft is being really aware of that and cognizant of the fact that when people buy things digitally, they're not upset about the fact that they can't take it to other devices. We've already accepted this behavior.
I get pretty upset when I
Yeah,
can't.
actually, like my friend's wife is super pissed that she can't take her arcade games from.
Well, you know what?
Xbox
Apparently you're
360.
right. I recant the statement. I'm half drunk anyway.
Like with video in particular, like I can't.
That's a bummer.
That sucks. I can't play my iTunes movies on my Vita, or I
But
can't
that's
play.
why I buy stuff on Amazon.
Here's our
Well, how does that?
You get it as an MP4. You can just carry it to your
So I
device
just
you want.
download it, put it on whatever I want.
What's the big deal with just turning your 360 on and play your arcade games? Like,
There's nothing wrong with that. People aren't bitching about you can't play Journey on your iPad. That's not a problem for some people. But I don't know. There's plenty of arguments to be made for both sides.
Right.
For me personally, this is me being completely self-centered. Again, I'm with you guys. I don't give a fuck about not being able to buy used games. That doesn't bother me at all. What I do like to do is say, hey man, you guys should play Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker. Well, I don't want to buy it. Well, you want to borrow my copy and try it out?
Yeah.
Well,
Although-
that's a big deal for me.
I'll just list you as part of my family. We'll be friends for 30
Right.
days.
For 30
and then-
days, and I can borrow it once, and then not have to buy it after that. Oh my God. Or I can just
That's
fucking...
Or I can give it to you.
You'll, you
once,
fill
but I
out an
can loan it to you
application
one-
and
It's a Steam
submit
business
it to
model
the government
and
for
disc-based gaming, which
approval.
doesn't make
It's,
sense.
it's this whole process.
I'll offer my blood type and my political affiliation.
We're gonna need your
A
all your
semen
credit
sample.
card info,
Please
some,
You know-
ejaculate into this cup.
Okay.
some DNA.
You know, last week
sample.
I
They could just
mentioned-
cut the middleman you and ask the NSA. They'll have it.
No, back to the NSA thing. I don't know. I know I sound like a fucking paranoid conservative nut job, but it really bugs me that Microsoft filed that patent on the FBI security for film viewing and that kind of stuff. That really bugs
But
me.
we've solved that already. Fat people.
I know.
Fat
The-
people,
the-
take your clothes off,
But
have a
for
booty
example,
party.
If I'm trying to coerce someone, I don't know,
Their
like
eyes
my
just
wife
burst
trying to have
into
sex with
flames.
me, and you're sitting in the corner just bare ass naked, it might be
Yeah.
kind of awkward for us.
Why can't
Yeah,
you
yeah,
just like...
but and then Xbox isn't gonna watch again. Once you see my angry brown eye, you're not coming back for more. That's
Okay,
over.
block
Guys.
this guy.
Look who got bleach.
I
Anal
will
bleaching.
listen, guys. I think I found us a new business model too fun to get plugged.
Get unplugged.
We're gonna get unplugged in front of every Microsoft Xbox One Connect unit
security solid.
until people block that unit. We will come back for a nominal fee.
Speaking of units,
like
you
anal
guys want to
plug?
talk about the launch day one titles for the platforms?
When
Yeah.
is day one?
Day one it hasn't been even announced, but they said November, I think, for Xbox, right?
The launch window is between the day of and March of the next year, March 2014. So
Really?
yeah, that's a big window
Oh,
of time.
they're doing it for the holidays. I'm positive.
Yeah, I mean they're
November 20th.
Well, I saw a
think,
separate
is one of
list
the
for that
days.
stuff. So
Yeah.
to be fair,
Well, so day one for
Yeah.
Xbox One, they
I'll
have
do
some
that for
great
Black
titles.
Friday.
I can't wait to talk about some of these. Did you guys all watch the E3 conference stuff?
most of.
I
Snippets,
kind
um,
of.
It's
I
in
didn't
pieces.
watch it, but I.
I watched.
Hold on,
No,
Nanook
no,
wants to
watch
go
it.
outside.
Okay, you're not a big fan of some of those titles.
Is that right?
The Nook, yeah.
Nanook, Xbox
That was
or PlayStation.
Apparently, he's not very happy about the whole use copy.
He likes Xbox.
He's
Okay.
a Microsoft guy.
Okay, so day one, we're looking at the big titles from the. I shouldn't have said day one. I said big titles from the conference. Do that first because I got the day one list separately. Big titles on the E3 conference were Halo. They did a teaser trailer for that. Titanfall, Killer Instinct, Metal Gear Solid 5, which is going to be multi-platform, and Battlefield 4, also multi-platform. These are the big titles they launched on the conference for the Xbox One.
Titanfall looks so cool.
I can't wait to talk about
All
that.
I
You're,
can tell
you're
you
forgetting.
is-
You're forgetting one that I'm very interested
Oh,
in.
and Sunset Overdrive. That was on. Should be
The
on
game
the
looks
list.
crazy.
It looks so cool.
It's like Team Fortress
Oh, right,
style.
yeah.
I'm excited about
And sense of
Sunset
humor.
Overdrive.
You
Okay.
can take Metal Gear Solid off of that though. David Hayter's
I know.
Kiefer Sutherland.
Can we talk about that in a bit?
motherfucker.
Let me talk about that in a
We'll
bit.
talk about it in a bit.
I
Okay,
have
okay.
to say though that that announcement that
24.
Insomniac had that exclusive title on Xbox pissed me off so
It's
bad.
a bummer.
And I'm probably going to go buy an Xbox
For that one game?
For that one game.
Watch the reviews first, see how it comes out. And then,
I might.
okay, for PS3, the big titles from the conference, again, a lot of multi-platform titles. Kingdom Hearts 3, which gets Sean wet. Final Fantasy 15, Infamous.
panties.
Killzone
That actually
Shadowfall.
dried me up though. As soon as you said Final Fantasy, I was like, slurp.
Okay, I didn't.
Killzone Shadowfall, The Order 1886, can't wait to talk about that.
That
And
looks cool.
Mad Max, which I forgot
I'm
about.
wet again.
Yeah, I know. Maybe
Mad
we do.
Max. I
That
didn't see
trailer
that.
didn't show shit.
Doesn't need to.
But I love Mad
It
Max.
showed the
never
knee
played
brace
one,
and it
so-
showed his fucking awesome car.
Okay, Nintendo did the Nintendo Direct conference, which is a lot different from Sony and Microsoft's approach to the gaming community. They talked about,
I'm looking
Wait,
over Eric's shoulder.
was
I'm like,
Nintendo
I've
at
seen
E3?
all these titles before.
Yeah.
The numbers have changed. That's it.
Super Smash Brothers, Mario Kart,
Played it,
Super
played
Mario 3D,
Played it.
Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze,
Played
I
it.
probably played that too.
Legend of Zelda, Link
Played
Between
it.
Worlds, and that's it.
Wasn't that the Super Nintendo version?
Actually, I think
It was the two worlds.
it's the two worlds, and
All
so
your favorite
they're mixing
characters
two,
are back
Yeah.
for
whatever.
more.
It's a mess.
Go Nintendo.
Yeah, God bless Nintendo. They really don't want that Wii U to succeed, apparently. And here's the thing: they could have really. This is their second holiday season with the Wii U, and they haven't done anything with the third parties. Speaking of third parties, EA brought out a Mirror's Edge reboot. Can we talk about that too?
I'm down with
Wait,
that.
a Mirror's Edge reboot?
Listen, technology has advanced at least 5% since Mirror's Edge came out.
Yeah. Plants vs. Zombies,
A whopping
Peggle.
5.
I love Plants vs. Zombies, by the way. Battlefield 4, Titanfall. I did not know that was an EA game. Madden, of course. And Ubisoft mentioned The Division, Rocksmith, Watch Dogs, Assassin's Creed 4, and Trials Fusion and Trials Frontier.
I'm ready for some AC4.
Yeah, that'll be good. That was good. Sony had a lot of AC4 at their conference. Let's start talking about Xbox One first. We all saw the trailer for Titanfall, I hope, right?
No.
Man, that looks fantastic. That's
So-
like the one title I'm like, ooh.
I can't tell if it's a free roamer or not. I would hope so.
I
Is it-
watched the developer commentary on that. It's basically, they haven't shown anything from the one-player campaign. There may not even be a one-player campaign with that game.
Oh.
It's literally a lot of multiplayer maps that look and play like they're a one-player campaign in terms of your integration.
Imagine running around like third person as like a really high tech.
It's
special
third person?
I think.
First person.
Oh, what's first? Okay.
It's a
sorry,
first-person
Wes.
shooter, but the different. Imagine something
All
has
the
the
shots they
grit
showed were
and
third.
the degree of realism of a Killzone in a Call of Duty, but
And then a mech falls out of the
then
sky.
throw and at any moment you can push a button and a mech will fall down from the sky and you can jump in it or not.
I think I
Big crazy mechs.
remember reading about this early on. They were going to have like different mechs and you would face off against each other and like...
Remember Mech Warrior and Mech Commander and
Me-
all that?
I remember how
And then
Mech
it went
Warrior
away.
was so impenetrable. It was too damn hard.
Do you remember in Nintendo, the original Nintendo, you put the word mech in front of anything. And it was an instant bestseller.
It could be Mech Custard Pie and you'd probably buy it.
Mech Contra.
Oh, that
That's
sounds
true,
awesome,
yeah.
actually. That sounds like I'd love
Mech
I'd
Mario.
I'd buy that game right now.
Mech
Mechalmania.
Donalds.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
in.
So, yeah, so
McDonald's?
Titanfall looks
Titanfall does look kind of cool.
If you haven't seen anything, now,
Ba-da-ba-ba.
Wes and I were talking about Killer Instinct yesterday. Does anybody give a shit about Killer Instinct?
I'll probably play it, but it'll be more of a rental as long as DR
You won't
is
have
Well-
to rent it.
Oh, wait, I can't. It'll be on 360 though.
Well, but actually, it won't. It's going to be a
Redbox is
free-play,
pissed.
free or pay-for-play fighting game where you buy characters as
See, I thought they made it. I thought they said, and I quote, "There's a game for people that can't get online once a day. It's called the Xbox 360."
Yeah. Again, with them just
That was
like,
a dick move, man.
Yeah. That was dick
Can
move.
they say enough things to just like
You know,
shit.
it's that whole hubris thing. They're looking like
Pissing on the people.
Sony at the PS3's launch.
Yeah.
All that pride, all that hubris is sort of taking.
I think,
Yes.
as far as Killer Instinct goes, I feel like it had its chance, and it's. I don't know. I'm not like if it would have came out a few years ago, I may have been more excited for it. But now it's like there's nothing to be excited for. There, like
Yeah.
the thing about it was it looked so cool when it came out. Like the character models, the design, and just everything about that game oozed awesome. And
It was
now,
ultra.
yeah, now it's got to like play catch up. So it's like it's not. It doesn't look.
Well, my big thing
Amazing.
is there are some great fighting games out there. There's Tekken, there's Street Fighter, there's Marvel vs. Capcom, there is Blaze Blue, there is
Guilty
Guilty
Gear.
Gears, there's tons of good fighting games out there. Really, really good. Oh, Dead or Alive.
Street
Mortal
Fighter.
Kombat has relaunched stuff in a really good way.
Street Fighter 4 was freaking awesome.
Do we need
Fighter
another
4 is
fighting
awesome.
game right now? Even a free-to-play one? Did you see Tekken 6 is going
But
free
it's
to play?
not. I guess it's free to play, but you have to pay for characters.
Did you see that announcement? That was under the rug too. Free to play as of last Tuesday. Tekken Tag basically became free to play as a downloadable game.
Well,
So
holy shit, my
Well, you know,
balls. I don't think we need another fighting
This
I
game.
isn't
think
a
we do.
fighting game, but it is free to play. Uncharted 3's multiplayer is free
right.
to play.
Well, it's so they're taking that same model of free to play, but I mean, I liked Killer Instinct when I was a kid. It was a CG Mortal Kombat, but
I liked it as a kid.
It was
I
awesome,
don't think I could
but-
come back as a grown up.
first of all, if it doesn't compel me to go buy a platform, it doesn't compel you. What about those kids that had never freaking
yeah,
heard
it's
of
not
it?
gonna.
It's not gonna splash at all, is it?
It's gonna be that game that you get with the bundle that no one wants, and then, you know, on Christmas Day, and everyone trades it in for $10.
Right.
It sucks though not to be excited about that game because it's been so long since we've seen one, and
Yeah,
it
like
was
DuckTales.
cool. I am excited
And
about
it's
DuckTales.
worth mentioning that the game looks good. It is worth mentioning.
You ever try to dive into a vault full of money? Did you see that Family Guy whenever he tries that? And he just splats into the coins. He's like, oh, coins are hard. His bones are sticking out. There's blood everywhere.
So I'm the only one who's excited about the DuckTales remake.
It'll be good, but I'm not.
I'm
I mean, you and
pumped.
I probably both played it on the NES right back in the day. Did you play it? It was good. I liked
I
it.
watched
Other than
it. I didn't play the
I'm
game.
I'm not so attached to my childhood that a Disney remake of a video game is gonna.
That one in particular
What?
for me.
The best
because
years of your
DuckTales
life
was my-
weren't between the years of 5 and 14.
Maybe Rescue Rangers might be a little more.
DuckTales was
You
my
You should
jam.
cosplay as the big chipmunk with the mustache and stuff.
He was
Oh.
he was a mouse.
Monty.
He was
Mouse,
a Mount
whatever.
Monty.
Yeah.
Monterey.
Jack.
Monterey
Do it.
Jack.
Yeah.
They call him
The
Monty.
last two games that were big from the Xbox conference, Metal Gear Solid 5 and Battlefield 4. Oh, I should
Fuck
say
you, Hideo.
I should say Sunset Overdrive too.
Yeah, Hideo.
As for Sunset Overdrive West, you gotta say something about it.
Man, I don't know what to say about it other than that trailer looked fucking awesome.
That's
it
the problem, though. Like, all the trailers were all pre-rendered stuff, so...
Yeah,
how
it
are we
was a
supposed to know?
teaser. It was a teaser, and the thing that scares me about that is it looked very, very stylized.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 years ago, when they announced Overstrike, which became Fuse, it was also really stylized. And then that's all changed. So like
Fuck
that
now.
that has me a little worried. But
the dude had
I
an
love
LP gun.
Insomniac.
You know,
No, yeah, he had
you're
this.
shooting records.
He had a gun that it was like a shotgun that you would load a can of like soda into, and it would shoot like soda or I don't know what it looked
it was
cool.
like
We'll have to
napalm
wait for
soda.
some first watch, kind of like playtime.
Yeah,
But
I'm excited for it because I've liked every game Insomniac has done, including Fuse, which I'll have to talk about that at some point. I would like to recant my position on that
We're
game.
going to talk about Fuse now. We're talking about Insomniac.
Well,
Talk about
it is
now.
Xbox and PlayStation. Man, I've been playing the shit out of that game. The story sucks. I mean, there's no story there basically, but it's so much fun. It's like one of the, for me, it fills that role of Gears of War since I don't have that on my PlayStation, and it's in my opinion it's just as fun. But the weapons in that game are so fun.
And pretty inventive.
And if you could get a group of 4 people to play with you, like
Be
we
rad.
have right here, I would probably jizz in my pants.
Cool.
Do you know what fills the hole for Gears of War for me? Gears of War.
Yeah, I hear you, but I'd rather play Army of Two. I don't know I'm the asshole that says that. But
Gears of War 1. After that,
Two
fuck
was
the
good.
franchise.
You like two?
I don't give a shit for the franchise.
3 was.
I will say,
It
like,
was so broken after
the
that.
thing, one thing that Fuse does a little bit better is that you can switch between the characters at any point. You just hold select, and you can switch between any of the 4 characters at any time, and each one has kind of a different like class. So
That sounds awesome.
it's cool. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, honestly, I wish the game. Did you guys ever play
That-
Bulletstorm?
Yeah, I played the demo.
I wish Fuse was stupider.
The
Bulletstorm
Yeah, it was going
outrageous
to be.
and
I wish it would have been
hilarious.
that way.
the demo killed that game. That demo for Fuse was not good. And like I've told you this before, but that part of the game that they showed in the demo was probably the most mundane. Like
I wonder why.
part of
I wonder
that
if they
game.
chose that part because it was small data wise.
I don't know. But, like you hadn't seen, like they didn't show a whole lot of it.
No.
Like what they did show was from that area, and it just looked kind of bland.
You think Fuse blew its fuse?
But shit. It's
possible.
Damn, Sean. Okay, so we've got to talk, and this is my self-indulgent part. Metal Gear Solid 5. I'm the biggest Metal Gear Solid fan in the room, no doubt about it.
Hey, maybe you'll get to watch like
the Phantom Pain is going to be about Liquid Snake's hand.
Oh god. The Metal Gear Solid, the Metal Gear series does stealth so well, and I love the weapons. I love the characters. I love that story. I love the bosses. I love the boxes. I love everything about that series,
like
except for the overly convoluted. That's another story though.
Do I get to play?
I know.
That's Tomb Raider.
No,
Tomb Raider was fine.
I'm trapped here in Cinema Land.
I liked it.
So anyway, Metal Gear Solid 5 did its big push on Xbox during their conference. It looked fantastic. It actually reminded me a lot of Assassin's Creed in terms of its open world nature. Did you guys get that vibe from it at all?
I didn't see anything about it, so I don't care.
The big story coming out of there is Kiefer Sutherland's now the voice of Snake. I'm a big David Hayter fan. I don't want to see him leave, but I'm a big enough fan of the series, and I'd love to see something new come out of the series. Why not do something new? Even if it's a new voice actor.
Because they could do new things like get rid of Raiden, who's a shitty character.
I know.
But they made a whole video game.
But instead, they got rid of the best part of Metal Gear Solid, which would be David Hayter.
I don't think Kiefer Sutherland poops or takes a piss, because in 24 they never take.
No, he never eats either.
He does it off camera.
Let me ask you this.
It's in his contract.
You're commenting on the stealth in Metal Gear Solid.
Mm-hmm.
How is it compared to the stealth in The Last of Us?
I would say that even with games like Assassin's Creed and Metal Gear Solid series, the stealth is more, I don't want to call it deeper because it's not. I would say it is more diverse. There are more ways to approach it. With stealth in The Last of Us, it's still a very high cost, high risk ratio per action. And with both titles, you can escape from a bad decision. But I would say the consequences in The Last of Us, the stealth-wise, are much more dire, and it makes it more exciting.
It's so satisfying to take a baseball bat and craft it with nails and shove it into somebody's face in that game.
For me, it was like, okay, I only have one shiv. I only have this one. Now, this clicker right here, if I spin this shiv on him, that means A, I'm not going to be able to open doors with it later, and B, what if another clicker comes up and I don't have a shiv anymore? I'm out of supplies.
You can craft more shivs.
Did you guys play Resident Evil a lot back in the day?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
That was my game.
That was how Wes and I bought over that game.
I bought my first PlayStation.
The thing that I love about
because of
Metal Gear Solid is that the stealth is very, like, primal. It's
very visceral.
There's no shadows. You're not like hiding it. It's literally line of sight game. Resident Evil, I wish had more of that, but it never did.
Metal Gear Metal Gear was a game of, and this is going to sound really technical, it's a game of angles.
Yes.
It's a game of geometry, and it's about how you utilize geometry to your advantage, whether it be an airplane, whether it be a guy. And that's really what I love. I think Metal Gear Solid's still the best stealth game out there. Even 4, even though it's got a convoluted story and ridiculous cinemas, stealth is immaculate in that game. It's just not enough of it.
Snake Eater was where
I just couldn't get past the cutscenes.
That's fair. And I'm not going to try to convince you past that point.
I tried, and I would install that game, and it takes about 2 hours to install. Once I install it,
I would say ironically, The Last of Us is the longest load time I've seen since Metal Gear Solid 4.
But it's not nearly as long as Metal Gear Solid.
No, it's not.
And it's just like, it's not an install time. The install time on Metal Gear took for fucking
It's the longest I've ever seen it.
Did you have to install it?
Mandatory install at the beginning and the halfway point of the game.
Like it was literally.
It moved really quick after that, but it was probably a 20-minute install.
Mm-hmm. I swear, like I don't mean to sound like a fanboy or whatever, but every time I've been over here and I've seen something on your PlayStation, I have to wait for some shit to load or download or some patch or.
Yeah,
because
loading times.
For the most part, you're always playing a brand new game. Like buy.
Yeah, but I mean, for people that aren't maybe hardcore PS fans, like my friend John has a PS3, doesn't play it for 3 or 4 months, then something comes out and wants to try. It's not like with Xbox, it just downloads the most recent update and patches everything. It's like you got to start from where you left off.
He makes a good point.
Catch up.
It's true.
I guarantee, though, Xbox would have more patches and updates if it didn't cost the developers so much to do that. I guarantee.
That's probably why they try and rein it in. So it's like, all right, buddy, hit it the first go.
Like that's another thing that scares me about Fuse. Is like there are plenty of bugs in Fuse. I'm not gonna say it's a great game, but it's kind of a guilty pleasure game. Like I would compare that game to your Army 2.
Yeah.
But it scares me because on PlayStation they could patch that game as many times as they want. They don't have to pay, but on Xbox they have to pay a shit ton. So
but it
now,
also means that they can knowingly ship something that needs a lot of patches And
they
and
did
not expect
patch
as much
later.
blowback
It's true.
as a Microsoft product.
I would say
Well,
no.
then how come? I mean, like in this case, then they fucked up.
That's what I'm saying is if you know you're up against a hard deadline that says, okay, Microsoft's only going to give us one update that's not paid and everything else is like 10 grand.
It's
or
punitive.
whatever. It's punitive. So you're going to bust your ass on the Xbox title and the PS4 title. You're like, or PS3 title. You're like, I can update as much as I have to. Let's just get it close. Then we'll have like a launch patch. Then we'll have like a 1 week patch, then a 2 week patch, and then we'll be good.
Sean's not wrong.
No, I would. That's a good point.
But conversely, and I'm gonna get Sean in the craw with this one.
Gonna get me.
You ready? You aren't wrong, and I completely like the fact that there's a punitive aspect to games not being pushed out before they're ready. But Steam sure as shit doesn't do that, and you're
That's
a Steam
true.
fan.
I'm a huge Steam fan, but at the same time, the cost ratio is so much different.
It's true. You can get a game for $5.
I can buy a game for $5. I don't give a shit if that's not ready at
Then
launch.
patch
It's
all the
$5.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
has
know?
anybody seen anything about Prison Architect?
Uh-uh.
No?
I
Anybody
think I
a
saw
Roller
a
Coaster
trailer.
Tycoon fan? Or
Go.
Sim
Yeah.
Tycoon or
Come on.
anything?
Yeah.
Okay, it's an alpha right now. And I don't know why I'm waiting for it to go into beta, just because it's, I don't know, it'll be more finished. But you build a prison, and it's like Roller Coaster Tycoon or The Sims, or not so much The Sims, because it's more overhead, more meta, and drawn back.
Was this at E3?
No, it's been in development for a while now. But it's a silly little cartoony prison that you build, and like if you forget something like building doors on all of your like cells, the
That's
prisoners
funny.
will go out and riot and stuff. And
That sounds like fun, actually.
yeah, you should look it up.
Is it a
The art
downloadable
style
game?
is really cute.
It will be.
Yeah,
Like
It's on
8-bit,
Steam.
16-bit look?
Yeah, and you depending on how much you pay, I mean, it went up to like a $1,500 package you could pay, but that's like that gets you basically involvement in the game at that point.
All right.
Like,
I would hope
mean,
so,
they're
because
completely.
you're paying for the development of it.
I think it started on Kickstarter.
Okay.
Kickstarter.
That makes sense.
We should have just one episode where we just talk about Kickstarter projects that we find awesome.
Yeah, but here's the thing. How many will actually turn out awesome? Because Kickstarter's only 2 or 3 years old at
I
this
know.
point.
I've been pretty happy so far. I backed the Banner Saga
West
on
backed
a-
a record. I backed a TV series.
on the guys from Bioware. They split Bioware, did their own thing, made the Banner Saga.
I
The
didn't know
multiplayer aspect released free to play on Steam,
Cool.
and that's how they're beta testing the gameplay for the
But-
main game, which is about to drop too. And it's pretty awesome.
Do you actively look for things on Kickstarter, or do you just kind of follow?
I do. I used to, but now I actively go on looking for people to throw money at.
See, because I don't. Well,
That's
I've
fucking awesome. Yeah, here you go. Take it.
you should kickstart our podcast. We could use some server
maybe.
space and some new
Kickstarter some
equipment.
prostitution for me. Now,
Let's keep rolling.
Battlefield 4, have we talked about that at all? Do you guys give a shit?
Hold on. Did you see the multiplayer?
Looks
video?
good. Looks really, really pretty.
It brought down a building in it.
And I do wonder if you can take down one building or if it's all the buildings.
Yeah, because
That'd
if it's
be
like the objective
awesome.
building, then
Right.
whatever.
What was the name
But
of that?
if you could take any of them.
Was it Red Faction, that series on the PS2 where you could destroy any aspect? Yeah, that was really
Yeah.
cool.
That was on PS2.
Fully destructible environments, yeah.
And then they made another one, right? That was.
It was
for
a really
this
cool
generation.
series.
Yeah, that's what I knew there was one for this generation.
The thing about Battlefield that has an edge on Call of Duty, which you have to compare them, they're contemporaries of each other. You have vehicle selection and you have versatility in terms of environments and that kind of stuff, in terms of destructibility. Those are the things that it has as an edge over Call of Duty. But this whole E3 presentation looked a lot like last year's, or 2 years ago's E3 presentation when they showed us Battlefield 3 or whatever. And it looked really pretty, and it's a really good game.
Everyone, we all creamed our jeans, and then
And-
it came out, and we're like, I mean, that's what we
It is what-
expected.
it's-
But it was cool that they actually had 64 people right there on the stage playing.
That was the biggest news, was that it actually has 64 people, which is something that Sony attempted not too long ago. What was the name of that game? Not Gun. What was the name of it?
Mag?
Mag. Yeah, they did the same thing with 64
I
people
forgot
active.
about that. But that was like more than 64. That game was supposed to take like 200, wasn't it?
It was a
I
lot.
think
I
so.
think it was 64.
What?
2,000 people. No, but it was cool, and it's going to be fun to have that many factions actually playing against each other at a time. That would be very cool.
I mean, just like the beginning whenever they're all rolling in, like the 32 people in that team, like that's like an adrenaline rush for me. I don't know about you. but,
Here's the
like,
thing.
seeing
EA,
that many people crawling around. And
that's not going to be a shit game. It's going to be a fantastic game.
It just
Am I
reminds me of
excited about it right
Alterac
now?
Valley, and
No.
I'm just like, fucking go.
Wouldn't it be
forward.
cool if somebody took a Battlefield game and they gave it a look like Project Overdrive or Sunset Overdrive? Wouldn't it be cool if somebody did something really wild and different like that? I would love
that's
that.
why Sunset Overdrive is so exciting. 'cause
Yeah.
it's very refreshing.
It's very
Well,
different.
that's what I was so excited for Overstrike for.
But you know, it's not high-end graphics. It's a high-end concept on the aesthetic, which means it runs great, but the graphics aren't like
They're not
super
stunning.
realistic.
Yeah.
You know, it's got a style to it.
Yeah.
Okay, then we gotta hit the PS. That was an Xbox conference. We gotta hit the PS3 conference. Okay, we're gonna get right off the bat. Let Sean let his druthers out. He's feeling pretty good about this. Fap. Kingdom Hearts 3.
Fuck
Go.
yes.
The
wanna
trailer looks like
explode.
shit, dude, but it'll be a good game.
I don't care that the trailer. Look,
Are
no
Star
one.
Wars characters going to be in it?
I don't think so.
Probably. Now
Okay,
they own it.
Disney.
Because Tron was in it.
It's so
Marvel
Marvel.
characters?
That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah, let me just throw this out here.
Shit, son.
In Kingdom Hearts 2, when you're getting swarmed by all these heartless whatever fucks, and you got your 2 Keyblades, and you're just fighting off this unending army, you feel like a badass. I mean, the fact that you fight Sephiroth, you feel like a badass. Like, I don't care. I really enjoyed the first one. Really enjoyed the second one. The third one is making me a little stiff. Give me a chub. The thing is, though, is that I relentlessly decoded the trailers, and not just trailers, but like after the
frame for
credits,
frame.
they would have video after the credits of things that might have happened or might not have happened to allude to the next game. There was like Japanese versions and English versions. So
It has been 7 years since we've seen a Kingdom Hearts game.
obsessive. Well,
7
on the
years.
console.
On a console form.
On
And
console.
there's PSP games, which one, the first one's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, they've been filling in the blanks in between. I mean, when I still had the Game Boy
Oh, there was
SP,
a-
I was still on it.
There was like a 3DS one too.
Was
Like
there? I didn't know that.
2.1 or something.
So, I stopped after Chain of Memories.
I would say that it's got a series with a great rep. The story is convoluted beyond preposterous.
It's
but,
true.
It's because it's one big marketing campaign.
Totally.
And god damn it, do
what
I
if
love
Pepsi
it.
and Coke live
And
together?
I am so excited for that new Disney Skylanders game.
Dude, it's gonna be awesome.
I'm gonna have a whole table full of little toys.
You're gonna have Darth Vader fighting Mr. Incredible.
All I know is that if there's any Marvel characters or Star Wars
Oh,
characters
God.
in Kingdom Hearts 3,
God.
I'm going to shit my pants with delight.
And the style.
I will buy a PS4 for that title,
Okay.
unless you say it's cross-platform.
It is
It's
cross-platform.
cross-platform.
It is guaranteed. It's going to be on Xbox One.
It's still $100 cheaper.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
we'll see. I mean,
But-
that's,
But you
But-
could play with us.
I would say that
That's
there's,
not great.
there's definitely going to that's going to be a fact. Play with your friends. That's a
Yeah,
big
I-
factor. But I would say that it is going to be a fact that
Dibs on
they're
me.
going to have
I can
every
have Peter
Japanese
Pan.
game that has been developed, period,
Fighting
has
Lady
been better
and
on
the Tramp.
PS3 because Sony is a Japanese company, and Japanese developers like to work with Japanese hardware manufacturers.
That's true.
So,
True.
Fidelity's not been a big factor in terms of Japanese developers, in terms of graphic quality, and even quality control, unfortunately. Which brings me to Final Fantasy XIV,
Yeah, we
which
can
is actually
skip
going to
that.
we can skip it. I don't have any fucking interest. It was a bomb 3 years ago when it came out. I wasn't even interested in it, and I actually was kind of interested in the concept of a Final Fantasy game online again. It was garbage. Final Fantasy 15 had a really good-looking trailer, but I don't trust it.
Oh, please be excited for
Please be
E3.
very excited.
Please. And how'd
Yeah.
that go?
It's
You know-
Final Fantasy has been a shit franchise since 7 and 8.
I would say
I like how the whole internet
Yeah.
was just screaming for a remake of 7, and they just won't do it.
Dude, they keep throwing that bullshit excuse of, until we top 7, we will not remake 7. I'm like, you're never going to top it.
Yeah.
So just remake it.
Just redo it. But you know what? I don't need another remake. We've got Nintendo doing that over and over again.
It's like George Lucas being,
Well, if we can top the original Star Wars,
my
then-
true vision.
My
My true vision is that sorry.
I
I was gonna make,
Ewoks to blink.
I was gonna make a joke about how Spielberg and Lucas were talking about how movies are gonna cost $150
Oh,
a ticket.
bullshit.
But I was like, keep in mind, this is the guy that wrote the words in the script. We said people gonna die. I'm not taking his advice on anything.
Except he
So-
sleeps
that's a good
in
idea.
a pile of money, wipes his ass with money,
Means
eats
people
money.
gonna die. Yeah,
Well,
well,
it's not change. It's
so-
not coins.
So,
it's
but you know,
paper
literally,
money.
Real money.
the Final Fantasy nod from the Sony's conference was literally saying, "Japan, we haven't forgotten you."
That's exactly
all
what
it
that
was.
But that's
oh, good point.
since
It's
like
so not for Western.
it's in
audiences.
Japan. They don't sell Xbox anymore, right?
Meanwhile, in Japan,
Not really.
Well, no, it's
Not really.
either Japan or China. One of the two places.
I think in Japan, Microsoft kind of gave up.
they
they
just
should.
stopped selling consoles altogether.
For the Xbox 360,
we had this
yeah.
conversation, not on a podcast, but it was after, like, I
We're
think
playing
that's just
Spin
what
the Bottle
that's
and
what
it came out.
IRL.
I still never checked my facts, so I don't know if it's Japan or China.
We'll say it's an Asian
Asia.
country.
Well, they're not doing well in Asia at all. They've sold in the upwards of about 4 million units.
It's
over
an
3 million.
American. It's American.
And
Fucking-
over 70
fucking
years,
A, man.
Xbox
American.
360 sold less than 4 million units in Japan. So that's not a good number.
We should.
What I was trying
Okay.
to say.
Yeah, we should keep hopping along.
Sorry,
Hop
wait,
on.
well, hold on. We interrupted John.
Oh, I was gonna say is that somehow subliminally, Microsoft does a really good job of appealing to myself as a Western audience member, and
They do a
that's
great
why
job.
I like it.
And
don't know if it's
I'd
like
also
the
say that
interface or if it's
they're
their
better off
I think
advertising.
it's well, it goes back to that attitude we were talking about. Is that Western? They've managed to put a personality to it
Mm-hmm.
that PS3 didn't have.
Maybe that's why I like PlayStation. I like Asian girls.
And Asian girls hate you. Thus,
That's true.
PS3 hates you because of the constant updates. Dude, you figured it out. You're in love with something that hates you.
That's Wes.
That's the story of my life.
All right, so we got to truck along. Infamous Second Son, looking fantastic. For those of you guys who watched the
Holy
gameplay,
shit. Oh, and it's like hyper stylized too.
it's gonna be.
It looks
great.
so much better than like the
Sucker
first
Punch is
two.
a great developer who's taken steps upward every game they've put out. Killzone Shadowfall looks like a mix between Crysis and Killzone. I'm extraordinarily excited about Killzone. The game that is the most compelling to come out of the whole Sony conference, though, is The Order, Agent 86.
That looks awesome.
And then they're
Looks
fantastic. Ready at Dawn. So
that's the one
really,
trailer I didn't
really
watch.
Wes
solid.
and I are
creepy.
huge Reddit Dawn fans. They're sharpening their teeth on games for the PSP. Started out, the first game was
Daxter.
Daxter, which
Which
is
was
a spin-off
awesome.
from the Jack and Daxter
It's
series.
better than the Jack and
And it's
Daxter.
actually better than Jack and Daxter series from that Naughty Dog. Followed up with
God of War.
God
Ghost
of War, the
Sparta,
first PSP game, which is a fantastic
No.
rendition.
Chains of Olympus. Which one was
Correct.
first?
Chains of Olympus.
Ghost of Sparta was next. Yeah.
Yeah,
like-
and then they
believe-
followed it up with Ghost of Sparta, which they crammed more graphical fidelity in a PSP game than I've seen in most 360 and PS3 games. That game is beautiful. The art direction, the AI is fantastic in that game.
It was better than God of War 3. The
It was better than
PSP
God of War
games were better than.
I mean, only you and I can talk about it, but Ready at Dawn
We've
is
got Sony apnea. We're sorry.
Sorry, guys. That's fine. We won't talk about it very long, but Ready at Dawn is a fantastic developer, sharpening their teeth now on the next gen platform. They've been developing the game for 3 years. It looks
Sorry, I've got to go
great.
change the battery on my controller.
I'm very
man.
excited about that.
And then finally, Sony's conference closed out their show with the teaser trailer for Mad Max.
Yeah, that looks tasty.
You know why I felt apathetic to that? I was getting it confused with Serious Sam, and that was wrong of me. What was the last Mad Max?
Thunderdome.
Beyond Thunderdome.
Thunderdome.
I've never
Before
played, I
that,
don't think
the
I've ever
road-
played a Mad Max.
Well,
No, but
they're
there are
not-
movies.
They're
movie.
movies.
Mel Gibson, he had gray streaks in his hair.
Mel Gibson is an
Road Warrior.
Australian actor who was in the first movie, The Road Warrior.
No,
Was it
Mad Max. And then the Road Warrior.
And then they decided it wasn't apocalyptic enough, so then they did Mad Max, The Road
Is this
Warrior.
like a cult classic, kind of like
Yes.
Yeah.
It's sort of like Dawn of the Dead in terms of like
and
this
then
is
the
a-
sequel to that was
this
Mad
is
Max
like
Beyond
Evil
Thunderdome,
Dead kind of.
Master Blaster.
It's
Tina
sort of
Turner.
like for apocalyptic films, Road
Well, that's why I
Warrior
didn't get
is
it
the
at all.
ultimate Western sci-fi film.
Okay.
Period.
Well, I've got some movie watching to do.
I'll give you the Road Warrior. It's
I
so
actually
good.
haven't seen both of those.
Yeah.
Mad Max
I
and Road
mean-
You
Warrior.
can skip the first one if you've never been exposed.
You don't lose anything.
You don't lose anything. Just start with Mad Max, Road Warrior, and Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome.
Oh wait, there's 3.
There's 3.
There's 3.
Beyond Thunderdome.
But you don't have to watch Mad Max.
Yeah, the first one's okay.
It's just alright.
It's just filler.
Yeah. It's
And
not apocalyptic.
that was Sony conference. Now Nintendo, I mentioned, had Mario Kart, Super Mario, Donkey Kong, and Legend of Zelda. Do
Done.
you guys give a shit about any of that stuff?
Nope.
Does anyone here
And
own
then-
a Wii U?
Okay, now
Nope.
who's the NES kid when they were young? I was
Yeah.
like,
Oh
was-
yeah, actually,
yeah.
I just bought a GameCube game like 2 weeks ago.
what game?
Alien Hominid.
Okay, see now I had
What's
a
wrong with
GameCube
GameCube?
and I
Me
loved
too.
it.
Yeah.
Me too.
But
Nothing's wrong
after
with
GameCube, fuck it.
Yep.
I
Yep.
was done.
Absolutely.
Man, for me, it was N64, so I jumped off the bandwagon. I had a GameCube too.
Wind Waker
But see, I was a
still the
perfect
best
age
Zelda
for
game
it,
I've played.
so.
Ocarina's what I like better.
Dude,
Smash Bros.
Ocarina's
Brawl,
amazing.
Wind Waker's pretty though.
Animal
Wind
Crossing.
Waker-
Don't even get me started.
Wind Waker.
Well, that's the thing. Isn't that
Shattered my
crazy that these
perceptions.
games, that all of us can find something we like about them, and nobody gives a flying fuck about the Wii U? Not at all.
Yeah, well, I hate the
Sad.
name and I don't care about the dildo controller.
There wasn't a big enough jump in like
Yeah.
fidelity.
Nope.
It actually looked
Timing,
worse
it
in
looks
places.
like an expansion
Yeah.
pack.
Isn't that crazy? It looks
looked
worse than
worse.
360 games.
Yeah.
EA had Mirror's Edge, Plants vs. Zombies, Peggle, Battlefield, Titanfall, and Madden. Did you guys ever play Mirror's Edge?
I'll
back
go
in the
for
day?
Mirror's Edge. That was pretty
I
good.
played the demo and it was good. I just never.
You know, it came
finished
out when I talked about IPs being launched by EA, they started out with Army of Two, Dead Space, and Mirror's Edge. Those are the big ones that came out of their company, and only one of them really stuck, which is Dead Space. And it's not even going to come around the next generation, I don't think, unfortunately.
No. I think it's over.
It's funny for them to bring back the worst selling of their new IPs, Mirror's Edge.
Apparently, there's a really dedicated following to it, though.
Because it's really goddamn good.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah, if you like it, you like it. Like, there's no, it's alright, you love it. I mean, it's intense.
How much does it cost to use?
I can. Oh yeah.
$5, $6.
$5 less than the.
It was
new
it was in the launch
version.
window of the both Xbox 360 and PS3. Or
You
PS3.
should be able to pick it up now for like $10.
I got it at Walmart for $5.
I might have to do that because
I got it at Walmart.
I
It's
played
really
it whenever
good.
it came out, and I didn't really appreciate
hard.
it then. But I remember it being very difficult, and that's why I was getting really frustrated.
And it wasn't like for American gamers in the sense that it didn't reward inadequacy. You had to be good. EA,
Well, I mean,
Well,
that's
also
my
satisfying
society.
about it, though.
I love being inadequate.
And lastly, Ubisoft was the only one to have a conference left at E3. It was Tom Clancy's The Division, Rocksmith, Watch Dogs, and
Oh,
Assassin's
did you-
Creed and Trials.
Did you see the Division, like the gameplay
Let's
trailer?
go. Let's go.
I want to play that with friends.
It'll be a solid game.
If I had any.
Were you excited about Watch Dogs at all?
Yes,
God, you know,
very.
So you
I'm not. Like, everybody's like creaming their pants over
I
that
mean,
game.
It's
I
one of the
just-
games I buy at launch from the platforms. I promise.
It
I wanna
looks,
make those
it
little
looks
pegs
like
come out of the
Assassin's
ground
Creed,
and-
but in
Techie.
yeah, it's like
What's wrong
what's
with
the
that?
character? What's the main character that's in
Ezio or
Rufy.
not like the present day character and all the
Desmond.
assassins. Desmond. That's all it is. It's Desmond's story.
No one wants Desmond.
Nobody wants Desmond.
So you're not
But-
big on
but
that
it's
series?
not.
Watch Dogs?
It's not at all.
It doesn't look that interesting to me.
I play games to do stuff that I can't do right now, and
You can
I
pretty
can go on the internet and pretend that I'm a nerd hacker, just by the websites I visit. Like,
I'm-
I can't be a pirate that like sails the seas and kills people.
I
Yeah,
am.
but
I
this
am
guy
way.
like makes those pegs come out of the ground and cars smash right into it or change lights and
It's
Yeah.
cool-ish.
causes havoc.
I'm way
That's-
more
that's pretty
excited
much
about
it.
Grand Theft Auto 5 than Watch Dogs.
Man, really?
Sony says that they're going to do a package for $299 with a controller and Grand Theft Auto 5 as a pack-in. So Sony still has a
For
very good
PS4?
relationship with Rockstar.
I mean, is there
PS3.
anything new left in Grand Theft Auto that
It's
you
just-
haven't already done,
but-
or do you just enjoy the iteration
Well,
It's,
of
I don't know. It's like I didn't get on until
one murder?
the last one was the first one I ever played through the story for. So it's not. So I'm kind of late to the.
I started at 3, so by the time I was like San Andreas, it's like, and
I
I'm
think you
spent.
We'll see if I like this one, but it looks.
San Andreas was before 3. What?
No,
Four,
GTA
4.
3,
Sorry, no.
then Vice
Wow,
City,
4 has
then
been-
San Andreas, then 4.
Wow.
See, 4 was the first one I
missed
played,
count. My bad.
and I spent so much time hunting down pigeons in that game. It was.
I tried playing 4, I just couldn't get into it.
It had
I
such
ended
a
up-
good
I
story.
I did the same thing as him. Like my wife's European, and so it's like I was really compelled about an immigrant trying to make his world in the land of crime. And I was like, you know what? And I thought it was a kick for like mentions of Bulgaria actually in the game. And there's a Bulgarian clothing outlet. I was like, hey, Lily, come look at this shit. And so it was fun.
to buy jeans? You can buy jeans here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
And so I had fun faking my Bulgarian accent, the hot D's and the D's. I had a good time with the game. But I ended up doing the same shit I do with every GTA game. Shooting cops and running away.
That's why. Well, that's half of the reason I want that game because it's just like a newer, way sexier looking version of the last
And
one.
it's going to
So
be
yeah,
awesome.
okay, so the iteration, that's
yeah,
fine.
yeah.
Nothing wrong
I'm
with
just
that.
curious.
We're talking. Speaking of iteration, look at what Sony's done with Naughty Dog and The Last of Us. I'm in a hotel room. My wife and I are trying to make some time away, just be romantic for a bit. And Saturday morning is an opportunity for me to actually have marital pleasure with my wife. And as
So-
we're starting to get awake, my
In
phone
the
is
eyes of
buzzing.
God.
Like
So
wait,
somebody
something.
leaves his phone on.
You still enjoy maritals? Like, I
Yes.
thought that was over after, like, you got married.
No, my wife is an awesome European chick, so we're having a great time.
What
so
is that?
So, he's giving the soundtrack that actually occurred.
Stop! Turn that shit off!
So, no, do the European accent. Who the fuck is texting you at this time of day?
Hold on,
And
baby.
so-
Let me check it.
I was like, don't worry about that, honey. It's fine. Sweetie, it's cool.
Allow me to set this up.
I pull my phone up, and
This ain't
mid-coitus is like,
pulling.
honey, I'm sorry. I'll stop this shit right now. And I see through text messaging on Facebook, John and Wes relating fellatio to how good The Last of Us is. It's like a blowjob without eye contact.
is so good.
This is like a blowjob that's not awkward because the girls looking me in the eye.
You'll note that he left my name off of that because I was like, yeah, I got nothing.
Because Sean's like, he's devoid of this conversation. He's jumped ship on this. And I'm
He
like,
felt nothing but
and I
pity
text
for
back,
us.
for fuck's sake, guys, stop texting right now. And
Wait,
John's like,
I'm still curious why you didn't
I
just
didn't-
turn your phone off.
Wes,
Like,
in case you've ever been in a relationship with a woman before, you don't get everything prepared beforehand.
no,
Maybe
but
not
you,
really,
you
just
had
gotta
enough to
go.
check it more than once.
Not during sex.
That's what you told me.
No. If I did, I misspoke. What happened was I'm getting my lovely lady primed, and this phone's buzzing like a goddamn vibrator beside the bed.
Well, you should have just given it to her and like, here you go.
At that
baby.
point, you throw your phone
Oh, I
across
like
the
that.
fucking room. Like,
No,
why
listen,
would you?
listen.
Have him text some more.
First off, the first time I ever experienced that, I was in a movie, and you guys were like going nuts, and I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, who is texting me?
Why do you guys have like
I
mine
leave-
doesn't buzz?
No, because I had notifications turned on,
Me
and
too.
so I leave and I pull out my iPhone, and there's like 20 goddamn messages in this Facebook conversation we have, and I'm like, the fuck? I just shut off notifications. Now I like check it every hour. Did someone update? Okay, now I will answer. But like, I don't see anything now, and so like,
I
I
did
checked
do
towards
that.
the afternoon, and Eric was like, "Seriously, guys,
I
what
just
the
had
fuck?"
fun.
I just like see this long string of blowjob talk between two lonely men.
It
and
was
I'm
like the most homoerotic thing I've ever read. And it's like these two guys relating video games to blowjobs.
It's
all
like
we
when
got,
they lick
man.
the tip, but then like they also gargle the balls. It's the twist and squeeze, man. It's the twist and
shaft.
squeeze.
Without
Swallow
eye
the gravy.
contact. And that was my first story from my trip to Tulsa. And so the second story is I'm going to go do the most indulgent thing I've ever bought. I bought a pair of Ray-Bans at the Sunglass Hut. And these girls are acting snotty with me at this real ritzy mall.
That's the
in
most
Tulsa.
indulgent thing you've ever done.
Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong.
Cool, huh?
I'll put myself under the bus on this one. It was stupid. Anyway, it was asinine. And so this girl thinks we're super goddamn hip. My wife and I, 'cause she's hot, and I'm just.
So you're
I'm
gonna
with
buy
her.
some
It's-
Ray-Bans?
Anyway, so I buy some Ray-Bans like a goddamn idiot, and I buy these things and I check out and I give her my credit card, and suddenly the tenor from the conversation changes to really dark all of a sudden. She looks at me and she goes, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Valley Girl voice and everything. I go,
The girl at the
"What's-"
register said that
Yeah,
to you?
yeah. Because we were real friendly at this point. We're like, "Oh, have you ever been to this bar, so and so, with this place? And these guys are so cute, blah blah blah." She's totally talking to me like this, and so I gave her my credit card, which is a Sony PlayStation credit card. And she looks at it and she says, "Are you fucking kidding me?" And I go, "What?" And she goes, "My son has a PlayStation, and you're checking it with a credit card that has his name on it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a nerd." And she goes, "Well, I did not get that." And she checks me out, and that was the end of the conversation.
I paid for about
Yep.
$300 or $400 worth of alcohol with my PlayStation card on my cruise.
Do you guys like get that shit a lot? Cause
No, it never happened to me before like that. No.
That would never happen again. I would be like, okay, excuse me, give me my card back. You can go ahead and put these sunglasses back on the shelf.
Yeah,
You
well,
can shove them
Enjoy.
hard.
sharp, hard up your ass. You know that desk probably should have been like the sign.
Oh my god, you work at Sunglasses Hut. Seriously, like,
How's your GED?
how do people like? I guess it's human nature. We all like to judge other people. But
Sure, I do it all the time.
seriously, like if I'm in here buying shit and you're like,
Don't
"Oh,
degrade
really?
me."
Don't
Yeah.
degrade me. You work here. You work at Sunglasses
You are a
Hut.
service for me.
Yeah. My
You
friends-
serve me.
My friends are actually moving to Mustang, and they just built a house. And
Poor bastards.
he
I don't
was
care where you work. You don't degrade the customer.
right. Well, unless you work at Dick's, which that's a whole nother experience. But he was trying to get the house kind of straightened up because the movers were coming over, and his wife was kind of concerned that the movers were going to see the house be messy. And I just looked at it, I was like, they're movers, dude. It's like it's not like they've aspired their whole life to like fucking do this. Like you don't have to impress them. Like they
Yeah.
have
No
they
shit.
don't even have a
They
JD.
clean the
The
house when
dead
they show
cat
up.
can lay right
They
there.
pick shit up and they move it to the
They
other
put,
house.
they put all the Q-tips in the trash can. They throw it out right then for the dumpster.
Right? There's like, oh, this is terrible. Dick's is a great place that if you want to insult people, you work there as a server.
Right.
That is the place to go. Have you ever heard of this place?
Yeah,
You're not
Dick's
talking about the
Sporting
It's a
Goods
restaurant.
place.
No.
The restaurant.
So restaurants
Oh.
where
It's called
servers are
Eat a
dicks
Dick.
to you.
Eat
And
a
it's
dick,
called
right?
Dick's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could do the
Yeah,
job.
they're down in
They're
Texas.
deliberately assholes to you.
They're like, what do you
Do they-
fuckers want to drink tonight? You look like a bitch.
Verbatim.
I Cosmo. And you're like, I'll have a beer. Fuck you. And like, they just take you they'll eat out of your plate and shit like that. It's hilarious.
I just can't.
Not an
your
original
cup.
concept, but fun. There's one of those in Chicago.
Yeah.
I forget what it's called. But they throw rolls at you. Like
I think that's called Applebee's.
Welcome to fucking.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Welcome to TGI
that's really
Fridays.
weird,
Fuck
man.
you.
TGI, fuck
Betty's
off.
Something.
No, it's not even that normal.
Well, did
Betty
you at
would
least
be-
enjoy
It's
your
something. It's like
Ray-Bans?
Ugly Betty's or something.
Yeah.
Kip.
Well, it's a bunch of
Something-
ugly
Oh, at
buddies
least you got
working.
classics.
I can't think of
What
it.
do you
I
want?
wasn't gonna go with the super trendy.
All right,
I know,
all right.
but I look at these and I'm like, God, I could have actually. This is embarrassing. I could have bought many video games for this goddamn pair of glasses, but
I wouldn't know.
Yeah,
what
You're a
it's like 'cause I have to wear
disappointment.
glasses.
You're a disappointment to us all.
I can't say that because like all the partners that the place I work have Ray Bans.
oh really? That hip?
No, I mean they're just it's like a symbol of like
I think the Ray Bans.
It's casual.
I think Ray Bans
It's
Classic
casual
have become
classic.
the new
It's a
Steve
status
Jobs
symbol.
turtleneck.
Yeah, they're just status.
Well,
That's what I was looking for.
I buy all my Marvel
Like,
superhero
it's better than buying a
T-shirts at
Volkswagen
Target.
Like
Yeah.
Apple anything.
Target.
Buy anything.
Yeah, or
Target.
going to go buy your shelves.
That's
at,
French for Target.
I do. I just want to jump in real quick. Are we good? Are we needed to stand?
I think it's
Yeah,
a good
we're
time to take a break.
Yeah, we're
Really good time to take a break.
yeah.
break time.
Let's do that.
Waiting for someone to take me somewhere I can drift away and maybe prepare another way to make sure I can compare with what I see inside my mind. I think it's all I can believe with you still here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. John has left us to go play The Last of Us because it was after his bedtime when we went and watched Man of Steel, and this is the end. So we're going to talk pretty much exclusively those two movies. Guys, do you want to start with Man of Steel or This is the End?
Let's hit this is the end since we saw it first.
Okay, we saw it first. This is the end. If you haven't seen it, go watch the trailer. If you don't want to get spoiled, step away now. 3,
Okay.
2, 1,
Go.
hit it.
If you didn't, we were talking about it earlier. Wes had some friends come out and see it with us. If you didn't like the trailer, you're not going to like the movie.
Agreed.
If you like the trailer, you're going to love the movie.
Yeah.
Period.
If you don't like the actors in the trailer, you're not going to like the movie.
Mm-hmm.
If you like the body of work that these actors have done, you're going to enjoy this movie.
I think it was John mentioned he read somewhere that this is a spiritual sequel to the Pineapple Express, and I can see that. I
Well-
think it's much less structured than that.
They actually acted out the sequel.
And the film, and this is spoilerific, they talked about what they would do plot-wise as a sequel for Pineapple Express 2, which, honestly, I like the idea for their plot. The film is so full of these improv moments where it's like, this sounds awesome.
I could almost see them actually making that movie.
When Danny
Based off
McBride is
that.
the villain, that sounds awesome.
I could totally see that
Speaking
happening.
of Danny McBride, that motherfucker stole the show.
He did. He
Stole
totally
so
did. But
the
there was
show.
there was one other small part with Michael Cera that I think was my favorite part. But as far as like one of the main cast members, Danny McBride all the way.
I mean,
He
I don't
is-
want to ruin specific gags for people, but I feel like we can talk broad stroke about plot. I don't care. But there's some gags I feel like when you see him, you deserve to laugh that first time. And Michael Cera, all of his gags, you deserve to laugh
Did
at.
did one of these gags you're referring to have to do with a magazine? So there was
For Michael Cera?
No, from
for
Franco.
Danny McBride,
James
Oh,
Franco.
that was. I feel like we could talk about that. I'm just saying like
Okay.
the little gags like that Sarah had in the.
Oh no, yeah, okay, yeah.
I would say that I don't want to spoil any jokes for anybody. I know it's a spoiler exposed, but I don't want to spoil anything for it because first of all, my delivery is not going to be good as these guys, and
No,
second
no,
of all,
no.
the story isn't that complex. They sell it as an alien film. It isn't an alien film like I thought it was going to be. I would say that, but that's irrelevant. That will not me saying that will not diminish anyone's joy for the film. It is a send up of the the superficiality of Hollywood as a whole, but at the same time, it's not being preachy about people being shallow. It's laughing at it the way humorists only can.
Mm-hmm.
And a completely enjoyable film that, again, from what I've read, is half improv. Peter Travers said it'd be surprising if there's a funnier movie to come out this year. He'd be very surprised.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many lines, so many things to steal from that film.
So many cocks.
So many penises in that film. It's ridiculous.
Like
So-
they took the number of penises from Your Highness and tripled it.
Like I'm a pretty big Seth Rogen film fan, and I really didn't think, in my opinion, that he would ever outdo Superbad, because he wrote that when he was like 16, and he didn't have a huge part in it. But I think this may have done it. I think this might be the movie that tops Superbad.
I was going to
for
say,
me.
this is not only is this his best film, this is one of the best comedies of the year, if not the best comedy of the year. This is one of my favorite comedies I've ever seen.
This is I would.
And
Yeah,
I will say this is going to be a polarizing film.
Well put.
This
And
this
it-
is
yeah.
definitely my favorite film of the summer so far.
Yeah. I loved Your Highness, which bombed. It did
And
terribly.
nobody liked it but you and I.
No,
We
I didn't
loved
hate
it.
that movie, but I didn't like it like I like
But I
this.
feel like this is so much funnier, so much better.
Was
It's a blast.
Was I dating somebody when I saw that or something? Because I feel like I should have liked that
I think
movie more than I
I
did.
think I actually drugged you to the film. I think you and Michael and Lily and I.
Yeah.
And my dad. And I took my dad for this movie to go
Oh
see
my
it.
god.
He was fine. But we drug everybody out. It's like during the day. Like on a,
It was really good. I think that
I'm gonna have to give it
the
another
premise
chance.
of
It's really
This Is
good.
the End was very, very believable because, after all, it's a Hollywood party, and none of us has probably been to one like that.
not really.
Oh.
James Franco plays James Franco perfectly.
I went to a
If a
Hollywood
bit
party one
stupidly.
time and I wore an orange shirt that was so far out of fashion. It was so far removed from fashion of the West Coast that people thought I was being ironic. And a guy gave
Then
me
you
a
were cool.
card to a gay boy party, and it said "gay boy" on it.
You do look pretty fit, though.
Well, maybe more so then. Definitely had more hair, but I would say that I thought he thought I was being ironic, LA
Yeah.
ironic, as opposed to Midwestern standard.
Midwestern
Hey.
don't know better.
Exactly.
Question: do we know if like the houses in that movie were those actually their homes?
I think it was all set.
I think it was a set. I don't believe that was actually James Franco's.
Like I could have seen that being Seth Rogen's apartment or
Totally could
place.
have, too.
And that might have been. I think that was pretty awesome. Yeah, I mean, so let's count it off. It was James Franco, Jonah Hill, Craig Robinson, Seth Rogen, Jay Baruchel,
Danny McBride.
Danny McBride.
And then they had lots of cameos. They had
Cameos.
Aziz Ansari. They
So
had
many
Michael
cameos.
Cera.
Kevin Hart,
Rihanna.
who's popular right
Kevin
now.
Hart.
Tatum.
Channing Tatum.
Now, my only thing I'm going to say about the film
Yeah.
from here on, I'll let you guys ramble all about the film because I don't even know what to say. Channing Tatum's cameo in the film.
Perfect.
First of all, it's perfect.
Brilliant.
And here's the thing. That guy did one of the worst films I've ever seen with G.I. Joe. One of the
It's
worst
pretty
films
bad.
on earth. And I've got so much respect for him after 21 Jump Street, which is a blast.
It's
In
got
this
Jonah
film,
Hill.
yeah, ironically. And this film, where he completely lampoons himself to the point of referring to himself as a gimp.
Yeah, he just didn't give a shit. That's a good thing.
And that is so like brave as an actor to diminish your masculinity so far to become a sex slave. That is so respectable. From my
Just wait till
perspective.
you find out whose sex slave he becomes, though.
Did you guys hear
That's
the
the
story
punchline.
about Harry Potter in that film? Hear the story about how
Emma Watson, Daniel Radcliffe.
Radcliffe was supposed to be the Emma Watson character in the film.
Oh, they're talking about raping.
but they
That's
showed
so
they
awesome.
showed the film to him, and he said, "Oh, no, I can't do this. This is too shitty. Take it back." And so they found Emma Watson. And they got her to play basically his character.
She was better.
Oh, she was way better because they got the good rape dialogue in that film.
Well, that would have been funny though with Daniel Radcliffe though. They
oh
had to
God, I
rape
didn't think
that.
about that.
You might be worried somebody's gonna rape him. Go away! I'm Harry Potter.
Harry Potter. Well, so Hermione just stole all of our shit.
There was Craig Roberts.
I'm not fucking
Robinson?
around. Yeah, Craig Robinson.
There was one when he. Well, this
He was
spoiler,
actually my
but
favorite character.
the thing where he's like, "No, you're already in the hole," and then he runs off like Aziz Ansari
Like,
is in
Aziz was right there. And I could have saved him.
Craig Robinson was my favorite character in the film. He's definitely the most redeeming of the four characters. But
Yeah,
he was definitely the most redeeming.
Take off your panties.
First one, yeah. Again, like I said, there's so many great lines still from the film. I won't even repeat them.
Danny McBride for me was the best character in the film. Period. I love Craig's performance. I thought it was great. But Danny McBride steals the scene. Every scene he's in, he steals it.
And you know what? I think what it is about
shoves
him.
it in his ass.
You guys watch Eastbound and Down?
What was?
No,
yeah,
not forever,
I've seen the
but
first
I've seen
season.
The guy is so willing to be the most hated guy in the room. He has no qualms against being the villain. I think that, again, and this film is not devoid of those type of circumstances. He's going to steal the scene from you because he's willing to go to places every other actor is not willing to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
What was
super
what was
awesome.
the first movie that he was kind of his start?
Tropic Thunder.
That was the first.
That was a big push for him.
I was thinking
Right before, after Tropic Thunder, he got the job for Eastbound and Down with HBO.
Yeah, but there was something before or
Was it Big Man Japan or whatever?
no, like
Was
he
it
was
Super
in
Rob?
what's the one that Seth Rogen wrote, but it was like super bad for little kids, and it had Drillbit Taylor.
Oh, Dribble. I never saw that.
Yeah, he was in that.
That
too.
was one with Wilson.
Owen Wilson.
Owen
Yeah,
Wilson.
that had one of the Wilsons.
And it had Owen Wilson and it had Danny
Wilsons.
McBride. It was also good. It was like a little kid's version of Superbad.
Yeah, I never saw that one.
I don't know
So-
if I can go back in time now after seeing this movie.
Okay, scale of 1 to 10, what would you give it?
11.
Yeah, I mean, I probably a 10 as far as
A
comedy.
10 now?
I don't know. Like,
It's a solid 8.
as far as enjoyment goes, fucking 10 all the way. Like as far
there,
as like
there was no lulls in the film at all. There was no.
I don't. That's not a movie you want to just pick apart for plot holes or anything. Like who gives a
No,
shit?
No,
Like,
shit, no.
If you do, you're an asshole.
So I mean, like, why not give it a 10? It was
but it
fucking
is,
hilarious.
As you said, it's polarizing. I can't say that it's for everybody.
No, there's going to be a lot of
Oh,
people
yeah,
that go see
and-
it.
It has its
What
it
the
has
fuck?
its target audience for sure. Like
And it's probably the most meta film. If you're not tapped into pop culture as a
okay,
whole,
this
you
is
wouldn't-
gonna sound really stupid, but I've heard this word thrown around a lot. Meta. What the?
You want to take this one? Or do you want me to?
I hear this all the time, and I
let you take
feel
it.
like a complete
Okay.
idiot because I don't know what the fuck.
That's fair. When people say that something is being meta, they're basically saying that it is secondary culture in terms of like it's not food, water, shelter, kind of basic understanding of what it's like to be a human. It's more about having a grasp of what popular culture is on the internet or secondary culture. I mean, you're really into nerd culture or geek culture. It
Okay.
means that you're being referential to things outside of the film itself or the story itself, but referential
So,
to things.
It's
that are
kind of
outside
like
of the
if you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, okay?
Okay.
And you're Ulrich the Bard,
Okay.
and you make decisions using player knowledge that's not character knowledge. Like
or even human knowledge.
your character can't see like 5 squares in front of him, so he doesn't know there's an orc there. But as the player, you can, so you choose to move your character in such a way that the character wouldn't normally move. That's meta. You're like metagaming. You're
So it's
outside.
like I know the cast from.
It's being pretentious about things that are pop culture, but not pretentious about things that are like
Like they're being
human
themselves. It's a meta movie because James Franco's James Franco, Seth Rogen's Seth Rogen.
culture.
Okay.
They're referencing
It's all
things.
pop culture.
They're not referencing the human condition. They're not referencing our lives.
Where does the term meta come from?
Is it metaphysical? Is that what it bases
Yeah, I
on?
mean meta is like beyond or without or something
Yeah.
like that.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
and so, like the most meta show on TV, I would say, is Community, where it's always making inside pop culture jokes about only a select few are going to get. It's very pretentious.
Saved by the Bell was a very meta show. When
Absolutely.
Zach,
Where they would
when
stop the
Zach
camera
stopped and look
and,
at
like-
the camera.
Yeah.
Give you a
Breaking the
little
fourth wall.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's being
okay.
referential of itself and where it exists without actually giving any credence to the fact that the human condition or anything like that.
Okay, well, that's like I hadn't heard that term until recently. Like it seems like the last year or so. Like
If you ever play Dungeons and Dragons with some hardcore nerds, don't metagame. They'll kill you.
Okay, this will be the last thing I ever want to say about meta. Okay, I went meta nerdy last weekend in terms of video game memes. The first big meme was all base are belong to us. That broke mainstream pretty hardcore back in 2005, 2006. Have you ever heard of this?
wait, what is?
All base are belong to us. Back in the 80s and
All your
early
base,
90s,
yeah.
all your base are belong to us. There was this really badly translated Japanese video game. It was a bullet hell game, overhead like a spaceship shooter, and there's just character translated from Japanese to Western audiences. All base are belong to us, and it's such a bad translation. People latched onto it the way they latched onto all kinds of things in culture. Some of the stuff you probably heard of is Leroy Jenkins. Have you heard of that one?
I've heard of Leroy Jenkins.
I watched videos on Leroy Jenkins again.
Oh,
The best World of
We
Warcraft.
reenact Leroy Jenkins all
Oh
the time.
God! Now I was talking to my wife on the way to Tulsa last weekend, and I was saying to her, I said, there's this really interesting story about Leroy Jenkins. She goes, I've heard this name before. What is this? With Bulgarian accent. What is this Leroy Jenkins?
Who is this Leroy Jenkins?
Exactly, you know.
Is he strong like bull?
He's strong like bull. Lily, I love you. And so she's asking me what the Leroy Jenkins was. I said, well, if you do some research on it, back in 2007, World of Warcraft was at probably its precipice of popularity. And there's this one character in the game, this one guy, this one player, and then instead of planning out this big, complex attack with his friends and his clan, he decides to go off and use the bathroom and come back, eat some Cheetos. But when it comes time to actually fight, instead of actually approaching the fight with a sense of intended urgency, he just runs in the room and starts screaming,
Leroy Jenkins!
which was his character's name, as it turns out.
And they all died from the
And
whelps.
they all died horribly.
Many whelps. Lots of whelps.
And so they became an internet legend. And where the legend actually grew is where the World of Warcraft developers loved this character so much that they not only made him a card and with art and everything, he became an allegory for the U.S.'s invasion of Iraq, where the U.S. ran into Iraq without a really solid plan of how to understand the culture and just ran in and started screaming Leroy Jenkins.
So John just finished the prologue.
The Last of Us.
That's long.
Is he crying?
No,
It's really good.
Okay.
he seems zombified. Well, listen, we've kind of strayed a little off topic. We've educated
sorry.
Wes
My
on
fault.
what
My
meta
fault.
is,
No, yes.
and that's good. You've learned something, but let's talk about something that really matters. Man
Superman.
of Steel.
Okay, Wes, I really want to hear your criticisms of the film because you're a
I
smart
don't. I don't
guy.
have a lot of criticisms necessarily. Well, yeah, I do. I have a few.
You have a few. You're
okay.
really astute watcher.
Well, like, okay, I enjoyed the movie. I didn't have extremely high expectations for it. I think everybody in this room, with the exception of me, was
pumped.
Like I was excited for it, but I just don't really care for Superman. So my criticisms were mainly was like the first thing was it was a little long, and
2 hours 15 minutes, I think, right?
honestly
I'd hope for it though.
towards the end I was getting a little bored. And part of that was because the last probably 30 minutes or so was all punching. And like I felt like it was suffering from the Transformer syndrome where you couldn't really tell what was going on. Everything was moving so fast. It was Michael Bay-esque shots and everything was just like a blur. And for like 30 minutes of this probably, like it just went on. And so like halfway through those punches, I just kind of stopped paying attention. Like at one point, he was like being grabbed by some sort of octopus-looking thing,
We'll
and
talk about that actually.
it got a little hard to follow towards the end.
Visually hard to follow, not story-wise.
Yeah, right.
but visually hard to
No,
follow.
the story was pretty clear.
Yeah.
I think I really was disappointed with the casting for Lois Lane.
She didn't bother
I
me at
like
all.
Amy Adams;
Yeah.
she's
Good
fine,
actress.
I liked her.
but she's not Lois Lane.
Why not? She's
Yeah,
tough. She's
why
smart.
not?
She doesn't have the look,
She's an aesthetic.
and
quality.
that's the thing with me. Like,
You want her sexier?
not maybe sexier,
She's
but like
tough.
that's something I have. If they like, we've talked about this before, where I don't like when they change characters. Like,
Right, and we're okay with it.
You're- yeah,
And you're
so-
not,
so
which I
that's-
get. But what about her not having like what's the look?
she just like that's not how
Brunette.
I. And that's yeah. Well, that the hair color was the biggest thing, and that to me is a big deal.
I
And
like redheads better than I like.
See, I don't like redheads particular. I don't dislike redheads, but
Send your hate mail to Wes.
I don't. That's just not. I already told you I like
But
Asians.
here's the thing: you made these very, very, I think, pretty astute criticisms. You weren't real keen on the casting for Lois Lane
I
and
also-
the editing for the film.
Oh, and Perry White, I'm sure.
I think it was awesome.
Wait, you and I did.
Yeah.
But
I,
Wes, I'm
I
sure
actually
did.
liked. I
was
liked
okay with
Perry.
I thought it was goofy that Perry had an earring. though.
No, that was kind of goofy.
Perry's a pimp. What you talking about?
Perry pimp.
And
Pimp.
and had they mentioned Jenny Olsen's last name, that probably would have
didn't-
bothered me. But they never did. It was just Jenny.
Yeah.
That was like the only time I think we ever heard her name that I
She's-
remember.
she's
I
not
don't even
relevant
think she
character.
was the Olsen though.
I didn't get that. She is.
Was
but I
she?
didn't catch it. She
I
was.
know. I just assumed she was just generic intern.
I thought
One.
what's his name? The Zod was fucking awesome.
Oh, the guy from Boardwalk Empire.
Like
Yeah,
he
he
was
was great.
cool.
He was awesome.
I loved all the stuff on Krypton. I guess really I just thought it was a little long and a little confusing. Those are really all. That's other than that, I loved it.
That's,
I mean,
that's pretty. It's pretty good though.
it was a good movie. I would definitely recommend it. Just those are my few
I
criticisms.
I think that is a small batch for as much
That's
of a
yeah. I would say like I was pretty
much of a
happy
movie
with
as that
it.
was. Were
I
you a
didn't-
Superman fan? No, you weren't. You said
no,
you weren't.
no,
Yeah.
no.
I am. I have talked to some people that think it's a terrible movie, and I've also talked to some Superman fans that were just livid. Nanook is one of them. As far as I can
That's
tell
pretty
you,
pissed.
Superman. See that shit. I don't really understand.
Exactly. Audience gave it an A+ cinema score, but critics were decidedly mixed on the film as a whole.
The shit they're saying though is it wasn't jovial enough. There wasn't enough jokes or levity.
That was
and there
something
wasn't
I was
enough.
going
There
to-
wasn't enough.
I didn't think the film was. First of all,
Lightheartedness.
I didn't think it was devoid of humor. I
Yeah.
thought the jokes were a little more
No,
subdued.
I thought. Sorry, I thought there was. I only remember one joke, and it was at the very end, and I thought it felt very out of place.
Which one?
The Superman's hot thing. The,
Oh, there's
was
a
kinda
joke
funny,
about
though.
the truck
I
being
thought it was-
smashed where he walked out of the restaurant. And to
no,
completely-
that was cool. That was cool.
The jokes are much more subdued.
they're subtle, like
Yeah.
Batman, but this is not. I don't want Christopher Reeve Superman. I don't like Christopher Reeve Superman.
You
That's
and I are together on
that's
that.
why I felt like that last comment felt out of place.
But I feel like they're trying to set the series up because it was such a dark, brooding movie. This is Superman discovering who he wants to be, discovering he wants to be this a champion of humanity, a champion of Earth, and so the idea that they've kind of starting to accept him, and she's just kind of like, yeah, he's hot. Like you just watch this dude like pummel another dude, destroy. Like I said, he saved the world. I was like, yeah, he's kind of hot.
Here are my criticisms for the film. And now, first things first, I must precede this with the statement that it was actually a film that I think is going to hold up over the years.
Mhm.
I think it's going to age better than The Dark Knight Rises.
Way better than that.
And I think that it's a fantastic introduction to the character for a lot of audiences. And I know it's not a character that needed to be reintroduced because he's so ingrained in American culture.
But I love the reintroduction.
I do too.
You throw away everything you know about Superman,
And
they
I
redid it.
loved
it was a
one of the things I
completely
lo-
fresh approach for sure.
One of the things I liked about Iron Man was that it showed no credence to its audience's history of comic books. It's like, listen, we're a different medium. We don't care.
Exactly.
And I liked that about Iron Man. And that's the thing I liked about the Superman film. It's like, listen, we like the story. We're obviously doing it. We're not giving you credence because you're the fanboys. We're going to do the film that suits the film. And I think that
Agreed.
Zack Snyder is an obvious choice for a lot of directors because of his visual fidelity and his style is just so distinctive. Nolan's obviously a big ticket item for a lot of studios, but he's also a really smart plotter. And Goyer is a fantastic writer in terms of actually structuring stories and having a lot of credibility with
else?
the comic
As
community.
long as
What
Nolan's
else has
there
he
to kind of
written?
rein him in.
He wrote he co-wrote Dark Knight Returns. He wrote Dark Knight.
He's written
the
a
first
couple
Batman Begins. He
Okay,
wrote that.
That
one.
was good. Begins was good.
Rises is the only one he and his brother wrote exclusively. Nolan, I should say. But the film as a whole, my biggest criticisms are A, like Wes said, the editing, the hand Steadicam editing, it didn't bother me at all.
Mhm.
But I think there was too much of it, and it was a little long. The sequence where the elaborate CG octopus creature in the film, I know what, as a story writer, is trying to plot that this is a difficult task for the main character to undertake. We don't need to spend 10 minutes developing that. We can literally, a few images can actually convey that if you're a good cinematographer. You don't need to spend 10 minutes, 15 minutes, him fighting a CG octopus. We don't need to do that. And so it made the film inflated. It was overly long. And the film wasn't devoid of action sequences anyway. It didn't need to be there. That is literally my only criticism of the film.
So, did it bother either of you that, like how quickly Lois found out?
No, and that's a twist that the fanboys hate that I love.
Why
I
waste time
love
with it? Why?
Because this is what has pissed me off about Superman for years, and I'm finally going to get off my chest.
Well-
How can you expect me to believe that somebody that's supposed to be as smart and feisty, intelligent and brave
Can't
and
do-
gutsy as
can't
Lois
tell.
Lane, who's
Okay.
an investigative reporter, can't figure out that Clark
Okay.
Kent is Superman?
Okay.
From the beginning,
Well,
do it right
no,
there.
That's I can buy that, but the fact that everybody in the world now knows that she knows who he is.
Let's her
Is
get
that-
away with it.
Well, there's like, I mean, I don't know.
But
That's
a new-
just stupid.
One,
Like,
it's a new twist. Two, not everyone in the world knows. That guy was he was an online tabloid, and he was saying, "Well, Lois Lane knows who this person is."
It'd be like Harry Knowles.
So it's
saying-
like Harry Knowles.
But
saying
then
something.
she was involved with the government in all
That
of
doesn't
that.
mean anything. The government picked her up for questioning, just like they pick up suspected terrorists for questioning and
Like
they
they picked
disappear.
that guy in China for
Yeah.
exposing the.
I mean,
shit for
our
whatever.
government currently listens to your phone records for anything. So you're telling me that the people are going to take that as fact? Not to mention that if she knows who it is, then she said she wouldn't drop the story, then she got picked up, then she covered it. That doesn't bother me because, one, it changes the whole dynamic between Clark and Lois in a way that I'm so happy for, because it's always been, I love Superman and I don't
And
love
Clark's just
Clark.
like, he's an idiot.
Now
Right.
she's kind of she met Superman first. She chose because he shared that piece of his history with her. Chose to keep it a secret.
See-
Fought to keep it a secret, and then when he shows up for that twist, she's going to help him build that human part of himself because she made that deal with his dad. Like that's such a better.
If it would have been,
It's better than the comic books.
It's better
so
than the
much.
comic books, but I will agree with that. But on the other hand, if it had been Spider-Man and that had happened, I would have been pissed. Like
'Cause
I
you're
don't
the
care
opposite
about
character.
But
Superman.
he wears a mask. That's
That-
the difference.
that's true,
Spider-Man
okay.
wears
It's
a
a
mask.
big difference. It's
It
a
is,
big
it is,
difference.
Big
but
ass
that's not my
difference.
point, though. My point is, it's not following the comics. And if they had messed with Spider-Man, I would have been pissed. Whereas I don't care
Well,
about Superman.
they've messed with Spider-Man a lot.
They have,
already.
and it's already.
And
it's
I
pissed me
understand the
off.
fanboys get mad. I did not particularly care for Andrew Garfield's rendition, but you know, it's a movie. It's a movie's a different medium, and when I was younger, I really cared. The older I get, the more I want the movie to make sense because I don't read the comics anymore.
Right. The best story I read about the Superman film, it's got a mediocre rating on Metacritic. It's a 55 on Metacritic right now currently, and it's either middling or positive. There's not much people in the negative on the
No one's really
film.
slamming
Yeah,
it.
it's
They're
not a
just-
bad
and they-
movie
and they
at
should.
all.
Just
They're
panning
just like,
it. They're just like, yeah.
And I think Zack Snyder he gets a lot of flack. Sean, I've talked about this before. I think he's a fantastic director. He takes on ambitious material, even though he over stylizes from time to time.
oh man,
He's a
all
very
of
ambitious director.
the flashbacks to him as a kid were just beautiful, and that was
They actually interviewed his wife, and they actually went through painstakingly and figured out how does Krypton society work, how would a human take this hit, how would a Kryptonian take this hit, how would this affect them in this atmosphere. Like he went through and like tried to come up with the science behind why this stuff happened. It was very, very
That's
good,
cool.
very deep, very detailed.
And again, the stuff when I was with Wes, I was like, this shit on Krypton, I could watch an entire
Yeah.
movie
Oh,
about
yes.
this.
it seemed like more of a sci-fi movie than a comic
I
book
cared
movie.
about Krypton.
For
I
the
didn't
first
give a
time
fuck about
ever.
Christopher
For the
Reeve's
first time in my
Krypton. I was
life,
like,
yeah.
it's an ice planet and you're leaving. Yeah, I'd fucking leave too. This was obviously like a husk, like they had
It
just
mattered.
let it dry.
Yeah, it
and,
mattered.
It
And for the
mattered.
first time I'd ever, even in the comic books as a reader of comics, I actually cared about Krypton for the first time ever. The last thing I'll say, there's a really good article at RollingStone.com about this being the Superman we deserve. Superman being a reflection of American history. Superman was created by, was it Joel Shuster, I think?
Joe Shuster and
Joe
Jerry
Shuster?
Siegel.
And Siegel, who were themselves either immigrants or the sons of immigrants.
They were Jewish kids, yeah.
And so they immigrated from either Germany or Canada, and their creation of Superman as an alien was emblematic of their understanding of American culture as children. And so it became an allegory for Americans as immigrants. Then during the 50s and 60s, he became an allegory of patriotism in the McCarthy era. During the 70s, he became an allegory, very humorous in a lot of ways, but also very critical of government and stuff like that. Especially with the Christopher Reeve Superman, who employed a lot of comedy in his characterization, but also had a very patriotic twist. When the Brandon Routh version came out in 2005, they say that he was, meaning a lot of the critical community, say that he was a character out of time because he was very emblematic of the 70s and 80s version.
Yeah, it was a pastiche. It was
But
a bad
we were-
pastiche.
As a culture in America, we were very cynical already.
Yeah.
And so he didn't fit in with our ideology. This Cavill in rendition of Superman is very emblematic of us as a society right now, which I think is very, very much portrayed in the fact that he ends up being a violent character at the end of the film.
He struggles with fitting in, and when he finally kind of unleashes it, you know, because you see through these flashbacks, he's been holding it in his whole life. And I'm just going to go ahead and throw out this spoiler, because if you're listening, whatever.
At this point, you should know.
He kills Zod at the end.
Brutally.
Which a lot of people got mad about. I did not. I was actually like, yes, that's what I would expect, no less. Now, granted, some of my problems with the movies, one, I solved one of my problems, which is a plot hole that didn't exist. I found out later. But the second one was the wanton kind of destruction with which he was just having the
Yep.
super fight.
Oh,
Did not give a
villains.
fuck about
Like all
anyone
that.
around there. But then when
Yeah.
Zod
Star
finally
Trek
starts
problem.
zapping people, and then he's like, no, I'm like, you've been wrecking half
Yeah,
the
that was-
city. But I think at that point, like, I can project myself into that situation and be like, okay, now he's seeing the consequences of his action. But when he snapped Zod's neck, I was like, oh, damn, Superman killed someone.
Yeah.
You know, and they can still play it to where, like, he killed him and now he vows never to kill a human
And I think,
ever.
I think
or
that was.
whatever,
I'm
but-
with you completely on that because the wanton destruction of the city, which is totally a Zack Snyder's thing.
That
Yeah.
bugged me too when it was happening. I was just like,
That-
oh,
I had
I
this-
wonder how much money this is going to cost the
I
city.
I mean, Avengers, I was shitting myself, but this was like,
This was
oh
way
my god,
worse.
this bill is so bad.
Yeah, it's like,
But-
it's like, how do they have that many
But
buildings?
it sets up
Yeah.
the second movie because now Lex Luthor emerges as a champion for mankind, as a billionaire that's going to be pumping money into it.
Please,
And he's going to be pointing at Superman saying, see how dangerous he is?
please don't make real estate the main story of Superman 2.
No, they won't.
Please
Did
don't
you guys
do
see
that.
all the little hidden gems?
Okay.
Little goodies?
Is it like
Okay,
on
on
the
the
truck
satellite,
side?
the
I saw
satellite had Wayne Enterprises logo
Oh,
on
saw
it.
I
that.
didn't see that.
I did.
The Lex Luthor, the
I saw the
Luthor
Lex
Corp,
Luthor.
the
Yeah.
Blaze Comics
I
logo
didn't see that.
in Metropolis.
I saw that. What's
Booster Gold is a superhero from the future, and he had a comic published in Metropolis
Called
in Blaze Comics.
I didn't even
from
catch
Blaze
that.
Comics. So many good little details.
I do
like,
remember
woven
seeing the
throughout.
Wayne on the satellite, but I
Yeah.
didn't catch. I didn't.
It was very
Click with me.
intense. It was really cool. It was such a great throwback. He was going by Joe. Superman went by Joe during the movie as his
Oh, yeah.
alias, which I thought was cool. But yeah, I enjoyed the plot hole that I thought I had found was when he gets on this 20,000-year-old ship, and his dad hits a button. His dad, the AI, and it turns around and there's a suit there, and I'm like, really?
Yeah.
But so I'm sitting here rationalizing it, and my friend Steven that I wouldn't watch it with in the IMAX. He was like, well, you know, the cape like represents the royalty kind of status in their society. I'm like, well, yeah, that's true. And so we're going through this, and then we started thinking about it. And actually, when he was explaining everything to him, and you see like the L flag get planted as they're exploring new worlds, and I'm like, well, maybe that was like an ancestor, and that was actually like an ancestor suit. Turns out DC actually did a tie-in comic before the movie came out for Supergirl, and Kara Zor-El landed on
Oh,
Earth. So it technically is a suit from one of his ancestors. So it was just there waiting.
So she's gonna be.
So she's probably going to be
See,
in
because
there.
I had heard rumors that she was gonna be in the movie.
Right. So this is how they tied that in. So once I knew, I mean, we'd already kind of talked ourselves into this idea that his ancestor, who was probably an explorer, probably left it there, but
It's an hour and 30.
Okay.
it was pretty amazing. So honestly, I would say forget everything you know about Superman
Well put.
and go in and just get ready to meet the character all over again. I loved Lois Lane. It didn't bother me that she wasn't black haired or whatever. I loved all the twists they put into it. I felt like it was really well done, and I thought Kevin Costner did
Wasn't
a
he
great
great?
job.
The
Yeah.
casting.
So
was
glad they
good.
let the tornado in.
I loved
Oh.
Kevin Costner's character. I loved Russell Crowe's portrayal of Jor-El. I could not think of a better way to portray that character.
No.
That was another thing a problem that I had when you mentioned the tornado, where Kevin Costner just basically lets
Die.
he
Yeah,
lets
taken.
himself die.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't he just walk? I mean, he had a fucked up foot, but he could have got out
It's,
of
it's
that.
the Uncle Ben moment, and they try to incorporate that into the character.
That bothered me
I
a
don't think
lot.
so. I mean, I think if
It
he'd started
bothered
walking, it looked like a big ass tornado. So he could have hobbled a little bit, but
But
I
his
think
son
the whole
could've-
idea. I think the whole idea was that he had told Clark, "You should have let those people die." I don't know, maybe.
And
Right.
He
He
proved
chose
it.
to say no.
This thing's
He,
more
yeah,
valuable than my own
I
life
thought
in
that
the
was
world.
a poor. Like, it seemed like bad writing, and like
I
conceptually
loved
it
it.
made
I did.
sense, but the way they tied it in was really cheesy because there was no way like Clark could have ran and got him without even looking like a superhero. Like there was
But I think that's not the point. The point is,
It's
is that
not,
his,
but-
his father made that conscious choice to listen. I think your secret's more important.
So-
Don't do it.
he wouldn't have lost the secret. There's no like that seems like there's no way.
It wasn't about what you're taking out. It was about what Jonathan Kent felt
Valued.
and was valuing and telling Clark. It wasn't about Clark might have lost secret. Clark arguably could have done it, but the point
but
was
even
that Jonathan Kent made the decision. I'm here. I'm going to protect you because you're my son. That was what he made.
Enough about that film.
I'm back, bitches.
Okay.
John's
I
back.
just- I don't-
It's all over.
Never mind. I don't get. That doesn't make sense to me.
Oh, I just got half an hour of The Last of Us.
Yeah. Okay.
Woo!
First impressions.
That's what I want.
That was brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was great. I mean,
Prologue.
whew. I mean, I don't think that's a spoiler because it's the first 10 minutes, but geez, like, it just bump off her daughter right
And
there.
you know what? And you know what else? It doesn't let up.
The drama is so
don't
good.
stop.
Like the
I was telling you guys earlier
motion
before
capture is
the
really
thing
good.
that the front runners for Game of the Year from the critical community are BioShock Infinite and Last of Us, and I don't think you can pick two better games. I don't think you
I
can.
think Last of Us is probably going to win it though.
I think so too.
With
Most-
the amount of tens that it's gotten.
Yeah.
And I would
plus
say
that's-
that-
that's connected to our world, whereas Infinite is an alternate.
It's a little bit. I
It's
but
very relatable.
It's literally whenever I play a game as good as Infinite, and I think I found a game that's better than that this year. I'm so lucky.
It
That feels
feels.
just real.
It feels like you're playing through an entire season of The Walking Dead to me.
yeah.
That's how it feels.
But it's not shitty.
But it's not shitty. It didn't have those goofy moments where
Yeah.
like, why would the character do that? No,
No,
it
that-
didn't.
yeah.
There's no questioning
Yeah.
moments like that. I would say that I was a little bit surprised at the linearity of it. Not complaining at all. It's not the most linear game I've ever played either. It's not as linear as Uncharted.
I was actually impressed with how I kind of go the opposite direction. I didn't think it was going. I thought it was going to be as linear as Uncharted, but it wasn't.
It wasn't.
It
It's
was
not.
so much more open.
My point was literally being that the critically accepted community has stated that the two best games of the year so far are games that, in terms of structure, are very beat oriented and from a writing perspective. They're not about selecting your missions where they are. They're not the Grand Theft Auto Arkham City style gameplay. They're very structured beat wise. And I think it's fine. I'm just a little bit surprised by that. So, but I mean, I'm glad John got to play the first few minutes of it.
Should we go over our one email?
Oh yeah, we had an email.
I would love to.
From our devoted and loyal
God bless
Have you
her.
got? You haven't heard
biggest
this, or have you?
Not at all.
I haven't heard it.
from Liz.
Is she your sister?
Yes, my
She's
sister.
great.
She's
God
our
bless her.
super fan.
She's our
She-
one fan.
I'll buy her.
Also-
She's our Mel.
Crap.
Liz, you hurt my feelings a little
Shout
bit
Mel.
by
I didn't remember his name.
by not remembering my name.
Yeah. It starts out, "Hey, John, Eric, and Sean, and that fourth guy who totally."
She really did that.
And that fourth guy who totally skipped on his bros for some dolphins.
I feel like
Liz, you win.
honestly, maybe
You
she
win
remembered
forever.
my name and that was just a jab at me.
God
but
bless her.
Probably.
but either way, I still Liz, you're
Liz,
on my
God
list.
bless you, dear.
You win forever.
We're awesome. Okay, so first thing, and we've already gone over some of this at the beginning with Sony and Microsoft nonsense, so I don't want to linger too long on it. But okay, so our first thing is on the whole Sony versus Microsoft debate. I would not call myself a hardcore gamer, but I'm definitely a frequent player. I can't even lie because my brother is there. So yeah,
You can lie. It's cool.
Uh,
We're all friends.
she's on Team PlayStation, I suppose. I don't read the gamers news a whole lot except for the games themselves.
You really
so-
shouldn't, probably. 'Cause it dilutes a lot of my perspective on some stuff. I will concede that point.
Well, no. To be fair, I took the 360, so there is no 360 at home anymore.
This is a
Yes,
long
it was
email.
mine. Huh?
This is a long ass
It's-
Dude,
email.
no. This is a very long. Look,
Oh,
It
I'm
is.
excited.
Look at
So
that.
you should. Yeah, we won't interrupt.
All right,
Please,
yeah.
go.
Give us
Let
the
me go
stuff.
because
That
I'm
is a
like 2
book.
sentences in on
All right,
awesome.
Do
on
it.
an essay. I don't read the gamer news a whole lot except for the games themselves. So all the info on the next gen systems I'm getting from you. So we're informing her. What I've heard from all of you about the Xbox One does not impress me at all. I am that guy, little air quotes, who buys a new game maybe once a year, and the rest I get from friends or Redbox.
Awesome.
So no Xbox One for this girl.
Nope.
I'm glad John took his 360 and made the switch to PS3, and I made the switch to PS3. I will be patient to hear what you all think of the E3 conference. So we've gone over that. Hopefully, we answered.
I hope so.
Your questions
There-
or concerns
We did
Yeah.
last time.
on that.
I would say last time we hit most of the good points. I would say this time, in terms of games, there's not going to be a whole lot of difference in terms of if you don't love Halo, if you don't love Gears of War, if you don't love the 2 exclusive each platform has, there's not much difference other than cost.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yep. On the Redbox thing though, did you see that they put up a little mini website that's very bare bones?
I did see that.
Yeah, it's a forum for people to basically rant against the whole no rental games or whatever.
Yep, and Redbox
because
is-
Redbox is pissed about it.
Yeah, well, they're going
Of
to
course
be
they
on
are, 'cause they invested
PS3,
in-
pretty,
Yeah.
PS4 pretty soon.
And all those locations that are just.
And I mean, I
It's a big
use the
deal.
one across the street all the time.
It's a big deal.
So it will affect me, and I'm kind of bummed about it.
Thought-provoking questions, Liz.
She's really psyched about Metal Gear Solid: Phantom Pain.
God bless you, dear. Oh, good God bless you, dear.
And I saw her go through a little bit of 4. So I mean, she went back and played all the previous ones. So she's dedicated.
You're my
to the
favorite
series.
person in the world.
Yeah,
right
she's
now.
pretty cool. Okay, to Eric specifically, not the haters who surround him. I just finished Arrested Development season 4, and let's just say there absolutely has to be a movie.
Yep.
What do you think of the new episode setup where each character has a separate episode that shows how they fit in the bigger story?
I'll be brief because I know she got a lot of stuff.
Did you finish them?
I think it's fantastic. I think the ending was a little soft. The whole Michael stuff was a little weak. I still don't think the girlfriend was funny. What's her name? Ron Howard's daughter, Rebel.
Yeah.
I still don't think that stuff was funny. I would say that the rest of the episode structures it didn't bother. I know that it was probably a logistical problem, as I said last episode. I thought it was so brilliant. It gave a Pulp Fiction aspect to the structure of the story. I loved it.
I want to
loved
jump
it.
in here because I'm not a hater, and
Wes
I
loves
was
it.
I was so mad last episode because I don't think you had finished them at that
Nope.
point, and I wanted to come in and talk, but I wasn't here.
But you have herpes.
I have dolphin herpes in my lips and eyes, which, by the way, I did make out with a dolphin. That's true. But I felt like it lost some of its charm because they didn't have that cast interaction, and that was a big part of that show and what made
Chemistry.
it so great.
That's actually verbatim almost what she said. She said, I miss all the characters being together and all
In a
the
room.
chemistry that came with it.
It's true.
So-
And that was
You can tell the actors like each other, like a family, but as a character, they are conflicting. And that's fun.
And
I miss
some
that.
of them just weren't interesting by themselves. Like the stories were okay, but there were some, like if I were to go back and watch, I would probably want to skip.
My least favorite episode, ironically, shocked the hell out of me. My favorite ones were the ones with David Cross, which is not a character I cared for, but his were the best. The daddy got his rocks off stuff cracked me up. The character who I reviled was my favorite character from the show, Job. Because when you take him out of his framework of being in a family, he becomes a dark, cynical
I don't know.
character.
I really liked the stuff with him and Ben Stiller.
Well, the stuff with him and Ben Stiller was awesome because he had a foil. But when he was off on his own, he became a drug-addled, family
Oh yeah,
devoid.
yeah. That part was
Is Job
yeah.
the
Depraved
annoying
individual.
magician?
Will Arnett.
It wasn't even
Yeah,
he wasn't a
yeah.
magician at the point. He was literally
No.
drug-addled to the point where he hated himself so much he would take roofies and call them
Oh,
forget-me-nows.
But that was another thing.
Which is funny on paper, but after a while it's like, this is depressing.
I felt like they
It's
made.
really edgy in that sense, I would say.
I think we talked about this a little bit, but I felt like they took a lot of characters that I thought
Like Michael.
may have been like ignorant or selfish, but they were still, in my opinion, no
Redeeming.
offense, likable,
Yeah.
and made them unlikable in this new season.
Well,
Like even Michael.
now in my
Yeah.
defense,
I know.
as Wes discovered at this
No,
is the
yeah,
end,
right.
I actually we made it. We kind of talked through my family history a little bit. Arrested Development is just too real for me. Like I hate freeloaders.
I hate leechers. Yeah.
And I really honestly I have a lot of issues with my brother because he's basically that family. So for me, like it's just not funny because I have to see it all the
Yeah.
time, especially at holidays. What's your excuses, John?
I mean, no, we all, I think, know somebody like that.
Hey, Liz is a wonderful person.
Yeah.
She's an only fan. You don't talk
Yeah,
about her
Liz,
that
quit
way.
leeching
I
off of
already
everybody.
forgive you for forgetting
Yeah,
my name.
mooch.
What's your name?
That's totally not. a
Not
thing.
you, Sean.
I just have to take that show in small doses.
I don't blame you for that because I can only watch about 2 or 3 episodes at a time. People that did the marathon of the show when it came out,
we
I
tried.
feel sorry for them because they
Yeah.
probably walked out feeling fucking dark,
Well,
depraved, and depressed.
I watched it with a bunch of people I didn't know, which was like I knew like 3
Ugh.
people, and they
mean,
were
that
very
kinda-
devout Christians, and there were a lot of
Oh, you watched it with that crew?
and there. So it was there was a lot of awkwardness and like
They're depraved individuals who are at the basis of human instinct,
Wait. Are we talking about us or Arrested Development?
Arrested Development. And I cannot believe that kind of crowd would want to watch 12 hours of that shit.
well,
Like 10
I
hours.
left early and then went home and finished watching it at home. I was just like,
I mean, whatever.
That'd be
Were
so
they, like-
awkward.
no,
And that crowd
they,
wasn't even drinking, were
need
they?
lower.
no, they stuck through.
How
Some
could
of
you
them
get through?
stuck through all of it, and they're all good people. It's just I was tired of sitting in a chair like this for
No.
an entire day. Anyway,
Okay. No, we gotta move on. Okay, next thing to Sean. Thank you for not being shocked about Game of Thrones.
I just started
Yeah.
watching that. And go ahead.
Radio, so you can't see him raising his arms in victory. But yeah, she said, I'm also catching up on those books, and we're just ahead of the game. Anyone who's reading the books is.
It's true.
So thank you for keeping your
If you
mouth shut.
if you want to know what HBO's programming is going to look like in the future, like the next 8 years,
George R. R. Martin.
go to Barnes and Noble, go to the classics of sci-fi and fantasy, and just start picking out books.
Yeah, it's not even a joke. Like I remember when HBO launched their series Rome in 2004, 2005. It was a great show. They put it on right behind Sopranos. And I remember when Sopranos went off the air, they were so worried Rome was going to bankrupt the company because they thought people are only watching Rome because it's coming up after Sopranos. Well, it turns out Rome was a fantastic show. It had its own audience. And when they shortchanged Rome for season 3, they were left without that void being filled with a smart fantasy adventure type series. And then they started talking to George R. R. Martin, which is how Game of Thrones fit into it 4 or 5 years later.
Turns out people were just watching Sopranos while they were waiting for Rome.
You know what? And I don't for season
The
6
show
I can't
is
blame 'em.
overrated.
Season 7 was fine. Season 6 of Sopranos was
Hey, I mean, they're
Goddamn
Italians,
mess.
right? And it's just the
Italians.
future of Rome. Really. Isn't it?
It's true.
Okay, question 4 or comment.
Go.
You guys talked about Will Smith movies being sucky. Can anyone say Black Annie? Seriously, this exists.
Black Annie.
With musical contributions from Will Smith and Jay-Z. Yes, people, it's real.
yeah.
Also, Miss Hannigan is currently the only white cast member.
Fist bumps.
wow. Pop.
And she sent us a link to where you can check that out.
We'll put that in the show notes.
Show notes. Is anyone excited for the new Stephen King-based CBS show Under the Dome?
Nope.
No.
I don't
Listen,
know. Like
I read
I,
Stephen King when I was a kid.
I
I won't
did
be
too.
shitty, but
I don't want to break the spell of asking how old anyone is, so I'm just going to assume she's younger than you.
Yeah.
Okay. You didn't grow up with the kind of shithole Stephen King television we did.
The Stand.
oh wait,
The Stand.
wait.
It.
It was awesome.
Not anymore, dude.
Yeah,
Watch
it
It's
is.
not
The
good.
Disagree.
shitty made-for-TV version of The Shining. What was it? Red.
The Stand?
God.
Red
No,
Room or
no.
whatever.
Oh yeah, that's The
Stephen-
Shining. Oh yeah, that was
Were they-
terrible.
were they
The guy,
made-for-TV
the
version.
guy from Wings.
Paul
Yeah,
Weber,
no.
Stephen Weber.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Stephen Weber.
that
Listen,
was
Stephen King and television do not mix, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you will all have to find this out the hard way.
Yeah.
But
When I was a
it just
kid,
doesn't-
I enjoyed those
Don't get me wrong.
movies.
I like Dark
but
Tower.
I
Dark
could
Tower
tell
was cool. Stephen
the
King stuff.
book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like,
I read,
when did
like,
they make that?
The,
But-
the,
Three and a
the
half
books
of
were
them.
good. I liked the books, but I thought we were talking about the
not
movies.
knocking the book. I mean, I'm knocking some.
Des-
of it.
Desperation was
Just Stephen
fucking
King and
great.
television is not.
No,
Does
it's
not
never
mix.
good. It's never good.
It's never
Langoliers,
worked.
is that another one he did?
Oh,
Oh, God.
oh.
I know, right?
What was that one? The Mist.
I tell you what,
No,
that-
that was King.
Liz,
Yeah,
your job
was,
is
it
to
was.
watch.
It was a
Yeah, it
short
was.
story, and the short story was
Yeah.
really good. And
Liz,
they-
your job is to watch Under the Dome. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
And report back to us.
Okay, well, she thinks it looks pretty cool from the trailers, and she has a lot of love for the
Good
book
concept.
as well. So.
Good concept. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
Stephen King's not a sophisticated writer, but he's a very strong, prolific concept writer.
And then it gets ruined on screen. So.
Bring it back for us. You just tell us what it is. And
Yeah,
we'll
because
believe
I don't
you.
think
Cool.
I'd sit through. I don't think I'd sit through a season of that. I mean, I sat through a season of some pretty bad television before.
The
but-
Stand is pretty bad.
Sean, you and her have the same baby experiences with music. She's not hip at all. However, she would like to share that she discovered a group called I Am Arrows this week, and I checked them out on Spotify.
Okay.
They are a lot of fun. They're a little sad, but
I'm adding it to my Spotify right now.
yeah.
there you go.
No, it was a good recommendation. On Spotify, check them out. Which we should try and catch music. We're closing in on hour 45 right now.
Yeah. Sorry.
but,
Yeah.
if you guys want to see a truly badass Aquaman, watch Batman: The Brave and the Bold.
I have
Fuck
actually
yes.
seen
it's
that.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that show.
I have a few episodes on my Vita.
It's
Oh,
so good.
it's so good.
He is so over the top
Darwin
and intense.
Cook, baby.
Outstanding.
It's awesome. Also, Oliver Queen has always been one of her favorites.
Ollie. Yeah.
Also awesome.
Quiver was very enjoyable. I should have read this before you guys went on about Superman.
If she hasn't read The Brave and the Bold as a comic, which is what the film is based on, she should read it.
She probably has.
God bless her.
Did not know it was based on a comic.
Darwin Cook.
That's how they used to promote all the B-list, C-list heroes. They would team up with Batman.
If you read The Brave and the Bold, you will get the essence of the entire DC universe. That's all you need, because everything else is an iteration off of that.
Yep.
All right, last thing. I'm very scared for Superman. It looks amazing from the trailers,
Yes,
but
it
I
did.
think it could fall flat very easily as well, which makes me sad.
I'd love to hear her interpretation of it.
Yeah. So write it again after you've seen it.
Absolutely.
I just hope we don't spend the first half with Hobo Beard Clark.
Nope.
I have faith the pacing will be good since the whole concept of soups is very familiar.
Yep.
Also, why Amy Adams? I'm tired of redhead superheroines and damsels. Mary Jane, Black Widow, Pepper Potts, Lois as a brunette like me. Can't wait until episode 6, Liz.
Yep.
I'm with you on the Amy Adams thing. Or like Amy Adams, just not as Lois.
Yeah. She's fine.
I think she did a great job.
She did fine.
Tough chick, smart actress. She did a good job.
Nerds love redheads.
Yep.
It is true. Isn't it weird? Why?
I think she's a real redhead, though.
She is a real.
She
I wouldn't cast Scarlett's not a real redhead.
No, she's not.
No.
She's a brunette, isn't she? Naturally. She's
And
a
in
blonde
perfect so is
anyway.
Kirsten Dunst. She's also not a real redhead.
Nope.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. God bless you, Liz.
The reason there's so many redheads in comics, and if you go into the real reason, is because the color palette was so limited. Back in the day, it was blonde or redhead because brunettes were just kind of like would
Hard to
fade
hit the
in the
color
background.
palette.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's why they did that, because it was a lot of black ink and it just didn't leap off the page. Lois was kind of a holdover, but they
Well,
always
she was a
tried to-
black and white.
Right,
in
she's a
newspapers.
holdover from the black and white, so they didn't really change that up.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. We've got a little bit of time left. Do you want to talk
We got no time.
about music?
Please, you have anything to mention? Because I haven't got anything. About
I've
it.
got one thing, and I have never been more happy to be wrong. The Civil Wars did not break up.
I thought they
and
did.
They have a new.
That was like a year
maybe
ago, I
they
thought.
did, but they're 100% back together, and
Good.
they've got a new self-titled album coming out August 6th. And they're
So I got in just at the right time.
Apparently, yeah. You got a body of work to listen to, and they've got good stuff.
a new single just came out. I don't know if it was today,
Maybe money fixed
but
it.
I listened.
Money does
fixes
fix.
They
so
rubbed some
many
money on that boo
things.
boo and they got back together.
You ever see that South Park episode where AIDS was cured by
Yeah,
money?
they like puree it and then like they drink it.
Magic Johnson's like,
The
I don't
money
know how
like
I
makes
got
the
cured.
AIDS virus go away or whatever, the HIV virus.
He just sleeps with a lot of money. Yeah, go figure. No, nothing to really mention about music. I was very, very surprised that the Queens got the #1 debut. That
Oh, I
was a
listened
really
to
big
that.
deal.
Actually,
What'd you think of it?
Just
from an
for
outside
you.
listener. God bless. I want to hear what you have to say.
I
about
thought it was a really good listen. I mean, I don't have any technical knowledge about music at all, but I mean, I could tell that they were trying really hard to be creative, and every track had a very distinct difference. It didn't just sound like generic rock for sure.
It's
Like,
odd. It's deliberately odd. One of the jokes
And I
about
like that a
Queens,
lot.
they push the odd button as musicians, sometimes just to challenge their listeners and challenge the status quo.
I'm not a huge fan of the cynicism, but
It's super cynical.
It's rock, motherfucker.
But it's like there's speaking of rock, you talk about Black Sabbath reforming and actually having the highest debut in the what was it? Take it back. Black Sabbath put a
Sean's
record out
vomiting.
last week called 13, and in the UK, it was the first #1 debut with a 40-year gap in between. And I think the only other musicians to ever do that before were Rod Stewart and Bob Dylan.
is that Ozzy jerking off an elephant? What is that?
That is.
I'll do it on stage for you.
you.
I was a Sabbath. Don't get me wrong. Back in my stoniest days, Sabbath was one of the bands that you turned to.
Dio.
But the new record. This is me being an asshole, I guess. I can't fucking stand this new record by the Sabbath.
That's you being a true hole.
Oh God, it's so wretched, and it's not bad musically. It's just I can't stand Ozzy's voice anymore. He's made his statement as a musician, and now he's just drug-addled idiot. Unfortunately.
Wes looks like he's about to throw down and beat your ass.
No, I don't care. I'm tired.
Fair enough.
He's angry about Men of Steel, and he's angry about Ozzy, and he's about to come over there and whoop some ass.
I don't give a shit about Ozzy.
Yeah,
I did like that song Perry Mason though.
I wanna actually ask readers, listeners, a question before we sign off.
Okay.
So go see Man of Steel, and then I would like it if you guys could write in
Oh,
and,
God,
and
that'd be
roadmap. Give us your theories, your roadmap to a Justice League movie. How does it get
that's
done?
good.
What has to be done before it happens? Set it up for us. Marvel's already done it with Avengers, so
Who's
I
gonna be
want
the
to
new
hear what the
Batman?
listeners
Who's
think.
gonna be the new Flash? Who's gonna be the new Wonder Woman?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Green Lantern because I think they got to remake it. But that's just my theory. I
That's
don't
a
know.
lot of
I
movies
think
to
they,
still
I think,
make.
I don't think they can
before
redo
can
Green
even-
Lantern. I think
I
they're
think
gonna.
they're gonna redo it.
He's gonna be out of the JLA for now.
Maybe.
And-
Well, I think Batman will be out first. But anyways, you guys write and tell us like what's your roadmap. There's no wrong answer
Is
until we
Marvel
read it on air.
prepping for a whole nother super crew
Yeah,
movie?
there's another Avengers 2.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Phase,
They're gonna have two
they're
out
already talking
before-
about Phase 3 in the Marvel Universe. I know this is a geek culture podcast, so I can talk about it very briefly, but the next tier is going to be, of course, Avengers 2, Captain America 2, Thor 2, and after that, Phase 3, which looks to be Doctor Strange,
Black
Ant-Man,
Very excited. Not excited.
Black Panther.
Black Panther,
Super
very
excited.
probably, and it looks like probably Avengers 3.
I hope they make a Nova movie because they're introducing the Nova Corps in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Also, in response to Sean's request, you can write in at getpluggedpodcast@gmail.com, or you can write us on Facebook.
Get your quills out, kids. Scratch that down.
Hey, the best answer will become our official answer. It's quite a brand.
That's all she
Also,
wrote.
if you're in a local band and you want us to play your music,
Yeah, we're running
you
out of
should,
ideas for local music. We're
so
playing shit from our own bands at
we
this point.
we may or may not have music at the end of this episode. I'll probably find something.
Or we should eventually, or finally, look into if we can just
The
play 30
legalities.
Look at the
seconds. Yeah,
rules.
we've never looked at that.
I've looked for them, but I have not had much
Look hard.
luck.
Hey, no answer means yes, right?
Well, I know they make pay. Well, we'll talk about that later. They do
Yeah.
make pay services
Anyway,
for.
not to bore everyone with that.
Last thing I will say about Oklahoma. In Tulsa, my wife and I went to a bar called Max, and it's an 80s, 70s, 80s, and 90s themed bar. I know it sounds broad.
The arcade.
It's an arcade of nothing but old arcade games. You can play skee ball, foosball, whatever, or you can play old arcade cabinets like Donkey Kong, Centipede.
Bart
Up-
Simpson
the
saves
most
the world.
recent game I saw was Killer Instinct and Terminator 2, the arcade game. Those are the most recent they had, and the TVs are projected with nothing but max headroom and 80s sitcoms. It's totally hipster, but a totally great time.
There's a pizza
And-
joint next door, too.
And just like the 80s, half the shit's working. So it was a really great time. My
Including
wife and I
staff.
had a few drinks out there and looked at hipsters try to hit on chicks through overly played Stevie Wonder records.
I wasn't there.
You went there?
I wasn't there.
Well, whatever. Next time maybe. But I'm cheap. It's a good time in Tulsa. So if you guys ever have a chance to go hit the Blue Dome District, Tulsa's got some cool shit going on.
So,
Yeah,
I was
Tulsa's-
considering telling my story,
We got
but
time.
it's 9:30. You had to be out of here by 9.
That's okay.
Do we have
I'll just
time?
I'll just drive late.
Do we have to?
We're like an hour and 50 minutes
Yeah,
in.
we should.
and there's
we
not
should-
much I
let's
want to cut.
open. Let's open with your story.
Okay.
We'll open next episode.
Okay.
This is
All
a
right.
cruise story?
This is a vomit,
Vomit
story.
story. Again, this is the
Sweet.
third tease for vomit.
This is probably like I
Listen,
think
we're
we've
building
This
up.
is
If
the
we,
final
if we
This-
don't
TV
do it next
spot
time, we're not doing it at
before-
all.
Oh, it's gonna happen.
They've all got blue balls out
Are
there.
you gonna pull us out?
Or blue ovaries.
Pull
I
us
don't know
out of
how
here,
it works.
John.
All right, if you want to find me on Twitter, you can find me at pretty_sketchy. Eric, where can they find you?
John Eric Osborne at twitter.com. I posted pictures that compared Rihanna to a llama recently on Twitter, as well as posting adventures of my time in Tulsa.
You can find me at twitter.com/inkstatic, and I post random shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Wes.
can find me at Wesky Dean on Twitter, and that's WHESKEYDEAN.
Not that you're going to follow any of us anyway. We don't say anything cool, but hey, if you want to, that'd be awesome.
Sometimes, yeah.
Well, we're out of steam. That's
Yep.
about it.
And remember, one may not promote a horse tripping event in Oklahoma.
You're brilliant. We're
Dude,
out.
I gotta
Bye.
take a shit. Peace.
Peace.
And I'm back. Like every week, we like to end the show with a song. And this week, I'll be playing a song called Something to Outrun by local OKC band Jump Ship Astronaut. I caught them back at Belle Isle a few months ago, and they were playing with the Defining Times, and they were really good. so I wanted to get them on the show. So yeah, you can find them at Facebook. They're at facebook.com/jumpshipastronaut. They are also on SoundCloud and Bandcamp. And if you liked the song that I played during the break, that is another song of theirs called Ghost, and you can hear the full song on their Bandcamp page. You can find it on iTunes. You can find it on SoundCloud. So go to one of those sites and check out the song, and if you like it, download it. You can buy it. I think they're $1 a piece. So anyway, I hope you like the song. Once again, it's called Something to Outrun by Jump Ship Astronaut.
To suffer more than I can comprehend now. It's taken all my strength to try. No time to explain the way I feel when you're around. The silence that fills your room is sweeter than any sound. But you'll never be the to know. With time comes the patience to love the things we undergo.